all seen the surgery that is changing people's eye colors to blue permanently. So in this surgery, this doctor is basically just painting people's eyeballs, and it's called a honey gold paint. And the way that it works is that it hides your old eye color and adds that layer of paint on top of your current eyeball. But this is where it gets even so much more worse. So there's this video right now of this guy going around where after his surgery is done, he asked the doctor, "Is this permanent?" You can see the regret and pain in this dude's eye.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? You guys know what we like to do here, man. We break down scary and creepy videos that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Yeah, I know what we do. Seek the truth.
Want to learn something new today? There was a cargo ship called Felicity Ace in 2022 that sank in the Atlantic Ocean with nearly 4,000 luxury cars, from Porsches to Lamborghinis.
Damn.
That sucks. Elvis Presley's manager sold I Hate Elvis badges as a way to make money from people who weren't buying Elvis Presley's merchandise. It's honestly a pretty genius move. I mean, Elvis wasn't doing anything wrong to be disliked, right? I don't know. And to make money off of people who hate him too is like, it's kind of petty. I like that. Every red box in this picture is showing people taking a photo or video of LeBron James shooting this shot. The green box, any green box in this picture is a person that is not capturing the moment and just living it. And what do you know? That person is Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. Apparently cinematographers, when they're at a concert and it's like raining really bad, have these really fast spinning glass lenses that allow rain to not land on it because it's moving so fast, and apparently it's used on ships for them to see out into like the fog and stuff too. Humans are very creative.
They actually make glitter out of people? This is insane.
Oh, people have been looking into glitter to see what it's made out of, and it appears it may be made out of humans? Yeah, there's been some investigating done, and they're finding out that glitter, they say that it's made of microplastics, but when they put it under a microscope, crematories.
Oh.
Fun! More and more people are looking at ashes that they have, and they're looking under a microscope, and they are looking identical to that of what glitter looks like.
When was the last time you saw Selena Gomez? Why do I ask? Because she appeared on an interview and was unrecognizable, leaving her fans both confused and concerned. If you haven't seen the interview, take a look at this.
Selena, which one of your songs gets you moving and grooving when you're on your own? That is not something I do often.
Does that look and sound like Selena Gomez? When the video starts and the questions begin, it seems like it's AI. She's just frozen in time, just staring into nowhere. Take a quick look at it again.
Selena, which one of your songs gets you moving and grooving?
Once the interview aired, fans immediately took to social media questioning what's going on with Selena Gomez. Fans were very quick to point out her transformation from 2024 to 2025 to what we just saw in that video. So the question needs to be asked, who is that in the interview? This is Selena Gomez not too long ago, and this is Selena Gomez in the interview. So what is going on with Selena Gomez? The question needs to be asked. Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Boys, a new sport has just dropped, and it is taking over TikTok right now. It's called Brave Ball, and as you can see, it's a wild combination of football and boxing. And the rules are simple. They're not at all. It seems like it's just normal football rules, but you're wearing gloves and a head guard, and whenever you get reaching distance to someone, you can smash the shit out of them. That's about all I've figured out. Now, it seems to have started in Poland by a martial arts club called Be Brave, but it's now spread to other countries in Eastern Europe, including Ukraine. And they're taking equality to the next level. Because as you can see, it looks like boys and girls are playing together. Now, it does seem that most of these videos are from actual martial arts clubs trying out new ways for their students to train. But the question is, would you play this or not?
Nah, bro, because imagine somebody get mad. You hit a goal, they knock you out, bro, from one punch. I feel like that's not gonna end well, man. That's just asking for trouble, bro. Could you imagine that?
He moved into a house, but when he moved into the house, he didn't realize that the old owner, his son, passed away. Okay. So that's why they wanted to move out. Now, he would get knocking at his door at night, and he would hear like kid laughing. He automatically assumed like, hey, there's something that's going on here. It's just not right, and you get eerie vibes through the house. One day, he was walking through a hallway in the house, and he could hear a laugh. So he walked up to the bathroom from the hallway. He recorded it too. It's like clear as day, like a shape of a child. And he goes up to it. The closer he gets, he like falls back behind where he's hiding, and it just disappeared. Wait, straight up, right there.
Oh my gosh!
You can see it like clear. You can see it like clear. Look.
Wait,
And he hides back, and it's gone. Yeah. You can hear the laughing, and then the guy's crying for him because he's like so scared.
Yeah. That
And
has
it's
to
gone,
be fake,
and it's
man.
gone.
That has to be fake, bro.
I'd be scared too. Oh no, I'm out, moving out the next day. Plain and simple.
It's real convenient that nobody is speaking about what's going on in Alaska right now. No news coverage, nothing. So a typhoon hit Alaska with Category 4 hurricane wind. And if you know what a typhoon is, you know what a typhoon can do. This typhoon destroyed several native villages in Alaska. Jump down the rabbit hole. You'll see people's homes floating. You'll also see plots where homes used to be not there anymore. And again, you'll see that nobody's talking about this. The only people that's talking about this is on social media. Mind you, they're saying over 20 people are unaccounted for. They can't find them. Missing. Gone. But guess what? It might be way more than 20 people that's missing. It might be way more than 20 people that lost their lives. Now, you also got to remember that FEMA was defunded. No news coverage, and they're saying that help is supposedly on the way. But if nobody's reporting these stories, letting people know what's going on, how do we know that help is really going to get there? Let me say this to you again. Homes are being swept away. This typhoon brought hurricane winds and flooding to Alaska and rural areas. Alaskans need help. We need to get this message out there. I'm out.
I saw this video.
Spread
It
the
was in
word.
Arizona, and they were like waiting for a fireworks show, and you saw this thing. It looked like a meteor coming down, and they're like, "Oh wow,
It's
is
like
that a
bright
meteor?"
orange, just leaving a stream.
And then all of a sudden, it breaks apart. These like 3 or 4 like light bulbs thing, or like lights in the sky, just stop.
Yeah.
And then they start going sideways.
Turn.
And the lady's like, "What the?" And then scrolled a little more. Someone caught something, and then they started going this way. And then I saw some in Texas, in Oregon.
People say it's like, oh, skydivers, and it's like, do you know how skydiving
Can you
works?
see this? All right, watch this.
How would that be a skydiver?
Yeah. Oh, that's.
Well, they said they were like skydivers with like flares, but like, how do they stop and then go sideways? They see it break apart,
Weird.
breaks apart. Those stop up there.
Weird.
Those stop, and
I
then
don't
those
know.
4 stop.
They just hold it in formation. Yeah, they turn up almost. It's like that's like it's weird.
I don't
And
know.
the fact that there's several videos from several different angles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
several different places on the same night.
Yeah.
Oh, it's weird.
Weird.
And then this one. This will be the last UFO video I'll show you today.
Everything makes sense now,
Weird.
like why Ice Spice was acting weird, y'all. Look at the picture. Look at who she's in the picture with. This lady has been behind some of the craziest pictures. And one of them being the jump with Travis Scott, where it looked like his soul was leaving his body. This lady is openly satanic. And I really believe Ice Spice is almost completing her ritual, fool. It started with Taylor Swift. Everybody already know when she was at the football games with Taylor Swift, and then the camera went on Taylor and her, and she did the little sign. Y'all know what sign I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. I still believe Taylor is her handler, but she's completing it. This video, I don't know who this fashion dude is, but I guess he's somebody of significance because the way he gripped on Ice Spice, it looked like they dating. But maybe he just, I don't know. Y'all look at the video.
Okay.
Who is this dude? Look at this shit. Watch how he playing his hand on her belly. He gripping the waist. Look at this shit, y'all. Watch his hand placement. I need y'all to look at his face, look at her face. Look. Hand. Look. What the fuck? Is that a face of regret? I might be tripping, but that's why I got y'all for. Let me know in the comments. Do y'all think I'm tripping? Or am I on to something? Well, do y'all notice?
Have you ever noticed how
What do you
so
think?
many celebrities pass pass away at age 27. This is actually a theory called the 27 Club. It's an unofficial club of famous people who passed away at 27 years old. The 27 Club's origin began with famous blues musician and songwriter Robert Johnson. Legend has it that Robert sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads in exchange for extraordinary music talent. Following this deal, he became an icon in the music industry, and his lyrics told stories of working with African magic. After his great success as a musician, Robert would be found dead outside of a plantation house in Mississippi. Before his death, it was rumored that Robert had been having an affair with a local tavern owner's wife. It's said that the tavern owner poisoned Robert's whiskey before bringing him to the plantation house, where Robert would roam around in a stupor for several days before collapsing and dying at the age of 27. Because of the urban legend surrounding Robert's talent and his rise to fame, and the coincidence of other famous musicians also dying at this age, the idea of the 27 Club was born. Other members of the club include people like Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, just to name a few. Kurt Cobain's death is what really perpetuated this idea of a 27 Club that we all know today. And sadly, before her death, Amy Winehouse would admit to her personal assistant that she was afraid she would end up joining the 27 Club, which she ultimately did.
Y'all seen the surgery that is changing people's eye colors to blue permanently? So in this surgery, this doctor is basically just painting people's eyeballs, and it's called a honey gold paint. And the way that it works is that it hides your old eye color and adds that layer of paint on top of your current eyeball. But this is where it gets even so much more worse. So there's this video right now of this guy going around where after his surgery is done, he asked the doctor, is this permanent? You can see the regret and pain in this dude's eyes when he found out, yes, this is permanent. And it's not just this guy. The doctor has so many videos of all these different patients as soon as they get their eye surgery done, and they all look so surprised when they see their new eye. And I hate to break it to these people, not everybody is meant to have blue eyes. And even more insaner, the doctor doesn't just give out blue eyes, he also does emerald eyes, and these are what the emerald eyes look like. Yep, looks emerald to me, and I actually have to say, this one looks really natural. I think that this guy's look even more naturaler. This one is my most favorite. As of now, the doctor who makes these eye surgeries videos' response has been to ignore the haters. You had the opportunity, would you get this surgery done?
Nope, I ain't messing with that, bro. Both of us mistake you, man, you could go blind. I keep my natural eye color, bro. The way nature intended.
Tell me that all of you have seen the video now of the alien that was captured on the Ring camera in California. Now, if you haven't seen this video, it's the clearest video we've gotten so far of an extraterrestrial just wandering around on Earth. Now, this video has actually gotten so much traction that it's made it to mainstream news. Now, sometimes I don't believe the things mainstream news puts out there because, come on, it's mainstream news. They're meant to deceive you and point you in the direction that your government wants you to go in. But this video is quite amazing. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to show it to you. But a Ring camera, a lady in California caught this on a Ring camera at 1 a.m. You can listen to the interaction back and forth with her and her child. I'm going to show you the video, but tell me what you think of this, because this is pretty cool.
I'm literally going crazy, like I'm losing my mind. And I took the phone from my son, so I was like, can you check this for me? I was like, am I seeing things, or is this? And it's like, no, it's an alien.
In that interview, she says that her son was like, it's an alien, call the cops.
A door,
okay.
A massive door, carved in the side of a mountain, 6,500 feet above sea level. That door is at least hundreds, if not thousands of years old. And it's in the mountains of Pakistan. The door, carved into the side of a mountain, you can see right there. That's not natural. Somebody made that. And like I said, it's at least hundreds of years old. So what's it doing there on almost the top of a mountain? I don't know. Two explorers found the mysterious doorway and used a drone to take pictures of it from the sky so you could get more of a view of the size and shape and how big it is compared to a person. Now right away, what I was thinking, other people started thinking too. It reminds me and them of the doorway from Jabba's palace in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. That's what it looks like. But I want to know what's behind this massive door, hundreds of years old, up in the mountains, and what's behind it. Let me know your thoughts on this, Booshkies, in the comment section. Shabadoo.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen weather like this in Arizona? In the desert, y'all? Cause first of all, what is this even called? They're trying to call this a microburst, y'all, but I've been living in Florida my whole life, and I know a hurricane when I see one. This is like a category 2 hurricane or something like that, y'all. Look at this right here is not normal, because even in the hurricanes in Florida, you can see through the rain and wind. I guess the energy in the desert just hits different, because winds were hitting about 100 miles an hour, y'all, and about 10,000 people lost power in their homes. And from the outside looking in, you would think this didn't do much damage, but a lot of people were forced out of their homes.
Dang.
So what the fuck just happened in Arizona? What the fuck?
Ooh, look at that truck. Oh my gosh, look at the buildings. They really took a beating out there in Tempe, Arizona. Look at the trees just falling on top of the cars, the buildings, the homes. And I'm sure there is a lot of cleanup to be done, y'all. Oh my goodness. I feel like we're in a movie.
Monday, this apartment complex near Southern and Mill getting hammered. Trees falling on several of the apartment buildings. Folks trapped inside until Tempe Fire and Medical could help them get out. See some folks climbing down ladders, others waiting on their pets who were trapped inside. Thankfully, Tempe Fire and Medical says there were no injuries here, but several dozen folks will be displaced. The American Red Cross now assisting them, trying to get a shelter open and finding them places to stay. They say there are about 50 units affected, and it could be as many.
Are you guys seeing this wind? Look at the structure to this wind. Y'all see that? Something is definitely shifting out there, you guys. And if you guys like the content, like, follow, share for more videos like this, y'all. I keep telling y'all, the shift is here. Y'all see it, y'all feel it. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
The year 2020 was just a test run. The digital ID is the real thing. Pretty soon, the whole world will need one of these. If you want a bank account, if you want to travel, if you want to shop, if you want to buy, you will need this. This video is about to get a little dark and a little deep. Stay with me. When we signed up to join these social media apps, did you know that we sold our digital rights? Now they own everything we do. But I'm gonna come back to this. What's taking place right now is the Matrix upgrade. We already live in a Matrix. It's called nature. And nature gave us the greatest technology, the physical body. Your eye is a clock. Your nose is a sensor. Your ear is a satellite. Your brain is a projector. And our spine is an antenna that connects us to the stars in the universe. But we have another system that's trying to destroy the real system. And this will destroy everything. If you ever look at the back of a dollar bill, you notice that you will see an all-seeing eye on a pyramid. That one eye is artificial intelligence. But let's go a little deeper. When you look at this image, what do you really see? When spiritual people wake up, what's the first number they see on a digital clock? When you look at this image, what do you see? On each corner of this dollar bill, you see a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, which is 1111, giving birth to a new reality, artificial intelligence. I have a question. How many people read the contracts to join these social media platforms? Probably none of us.
Yeah.
So we sign contracts selling our digital rights. Therefore, they can take our profile and do whatever they want to do with it. Pretty serious. The word digital means finger and toe. Remember, we sold our digital rights when we signed these contracts or put a check next to it. When every child was born, our parents signed our birth rights away to the system. And we just signed away our digital rights, which is the new reality. It's a reason why digital means finger and toe. When a child is born in a hospital, what do they take? Our fingerprints and our footprints, finger and toe. They hide the truth in plain sight, but so many people can't see it. This 1111 was always with us. We thought that it meant some kind of spiritual evolution. Yeah, it do, for some of us. But it also means giving birth to our new world, artificial intelligence.
This mother and her 10-month-old baby were murdered by the cartel. 16-year-old Alyssa Perez was found deceased holding her 10-month-old baby, Nicholas, in a ditch in Tulare, California. Officers arrived to the home around 4 a.m. after someone called police about a large number of gunshots. When they entered the home, they found another victim in the doorway, and there were 3 more bodies inside, including an older woman. All the victims were murdered by a gunshot to the head, and 2 other women actually survived by hiding in a nearby trailer. It's been said that Alyssa tried to run away with her baby, but then she was found and murdered. Investigators believe that this was a gang-related attack and that they were trying to send a message. But after further investigation, police records revealed that the week prior, a search warrant was done on the property and guns, marijuana, and meth were found, which is why they concluded that this crime was drug-related. Police also mentioned that the manner and swiftness of the killings suggested that the men were experienced in murder.
Madness, pure madness, seekers.
Creepy facts that will disturb you. There might be a haunted Russian radio station. UVB-76 is a low-frequency radio station that's been broadcasting since 1982. No one knows where the broadcast is originating. It's mostly just a buzzing noise with the occasional Russian voice transmission. Scaphism was an ancient form of execution where you'd cover someone with honey, stick them in a hollow log, and allow insects to eat them alive. Babies grow mustaches in the womb that then spread to cover their entire body in hair called lanugo. The body hair keeps them warm and helps regulate body temperature. Ladybugs are known to eat their own larvae to ensure the survival of other larvae. Pigs can eat an entire human body, mostly because they'll just eat anything. There's such a thing as homicidal sleepwalking. It's also called homicidal somnambulism or sleepwalking murder.
Genius people who beat the system, part 3. A girls' college had a rule that said you can't have carved pumpkins in your dorm room. But the rule didn't say anything about pineapples, so she went ahead and carved one of those. This guy's new job required a photo of him in a suit for their website. But since he doesn't own a suit, he just photoshopped his face over this guy's face, and honestly, it looks pretty real. This sign says no bicycle riding, rollerblading, roller skating, skateboarding, or scooter riding, but it doesn't say no unicycling. These signs say that if you park on this side, you have to pay for parking, and if you park on the other side, you will get towed. So this guy parked in between both of the signs, so he doesn't have to do either. That's pure genius. A guy posted this photo online and said whenever he parks illegally, he puts a fake ticket on his windshield so the cops won't give him a real one. That's pretty creative.
It really is, bro. That's 5,000 IQ moves, man.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. Once there were 3 teenagers who broke into an abandoned amusement park in Canada. 2 of them went inside first while the third waited outside. But after a while, the 2 who went inside first still hadn't come out. So the one left waiting decided to go inside as well to find his friends. That's when he found one of his missing friend's phones lying on the ground. And in the camera roll, he saw something terrifying. On his friend's phone, he saw a photo of a strange door with a huge mouth inside. That turned out to be the urban legend of the Smile Room. A giant creature that manifests itself as a fake room with a door to lure its victims in. It can move to different locations and disguise itself as a normal looking door. So once you walk in, it'll devour you. So remember, the next time you see a door in an unusual place, don't go near it. And follow for more stories.
I ain't going in there, bro. That room gives off freaking creepy and weird vibes. That's a no.
Disturbing facts you wish you never knew. Part 2. In toddlers, their adult teeth are located beneath their eyes. Dogs like squeaky toys because it reminds them of a small animal being killed. It takes longer to say this than this. Try it and let me know. Your feet can sweat up to 20 liters per day. And if rabbits get stressed out enough, they will eat their young. Make sure to like and follow for part 3.
Animals you probably haven't seen as babies.
What do you mean haven't seen as babies?
Hyenas.
I've seen a baby hyena actually. Tell me that's not adorable. Why is there scary music in the background?
Camels.
Right, I've not seen a baby camel. I'll own that. Oh. Look at the eyelashes, I take it.
Hedgehogs.
A baby hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, bro.
Oh, that looks like something else. Oh, it keeps making me take it back. Sloths. Oh, my heart. I will adopt one right now. Raccoons. Okay, maybe not a rat. They're a bit reckless. Okay, alright. But, yeah. Right, okay. You might have won me over there a little bit. Oh no. There's not room for 2 smelly people in my house. And I'm enough.
Facts that might save your life one day. Alright, so if a person you don't know shows up to your house and asks for help in the middle of the night, do not open the door, especially if you're a girl alone, because human traffickers tend to use these tactics to lure girls outside. So just make sure all your doors are locked and call the police straight away. Next, if you ever feel like something bad is about to happen, trust your guts and just leave, because in most cases you might be right. Now, if you're ever involved in a plane crash and it crashes in the ocean, whatever you do not inflate your life jacket. Instead, wait until you're outside the plane, because if you inflate it while you're inside, you get trapped inside as the water level rises. And finally, if you were ever to go homeless during winter, do not sleep on the ground, because people have literally frozen to death that way. Instead, try to find some cardboard pieces and sleep on that, because the ground itself absorbs way more heat than cardboard.
Scary fact you would.
It's freaking sad and terrifying, man. If like people trying to be good people help them out when they knocking at the door in the middle of the night, but you still gotta be cautious, man, because you never know. We just learned, bro. It could be an act. That's how they be catching people.
Wish you never knew.
There is a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and for some reason people who go in lose their mind. Do you know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple?
Yeah.
Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more. And if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for students.
Imagine living your entire life thinking your dad died from a heart attack and then finding out later that he was actually unalived in his home and the case was never solved. When Madison McGee was just 16 years old, she found out that her dad, John Cornelius McGee, also known as JC, was shot in his home and no one ever figured out who did it. It was shortly after 6 a.m. on July 11, 2002 in Bridgeport, Ohio, and police received a call from Madison's 16-year-old sister because she heard a gunshot and found her dad lying in a pool of his own blood. Shortly after her sister's call to the police, they received another call from John's nephew, Omar. Omar was actually living next door with his mom, Pearl, who is JC's sister, and his girlfriend, Kim. And Omar tells police that a group of 4 men walked into Pearl's home armed with guns and began demanding money, and they were specifically looking for a safe. They dragged Pearl from her bed and tied her and Kim up with a telephone cord, covered their heads in blankets, poured alcohol on them, and threatened to light them on fire. They then took Omar, and he was able to escape as he fled to a nearby auto shop and called police. These men then went over to JC's home, walked up the steps, and fatally shot him in the head in his doorway and left him for his 16-year-old daughter to find. JC was a former drug dealer turned confidential informant to local law enforcement, and Madison actually has an entire podcast about this where she interviews friends and family. She even meets up with one of the prime suspects to interview him. I want you to go listen to Madison's podcast, Ice Cold Case, because this is her story about her father to tell. But this entire case is just insane. And Madison was just 6 years old when her father was taken away from her, and she was told by her family that her dad just died from a heart attack, when in fact he was unalived in cold blood in his own home.
Man, should we check out that podcast? Like, imagine finding that out when you grow up. It seems like she's trying to solve the case too. She interviewed one of the people.
More creepy at night. Schools. Schools at night. Alleyways. Alleyways at night. Cemeteries. Cemeteries at night.
We ain't there, bro.
Parking garages. Parking garages at night. The woods.
That's a no.
The woods at night. Hospitals. Hospitals at night. A cabin in the woods.
It's literally a movie, hell.
A cabin in the woods at night.
That's literally a horror movie.
So Diddy killed Tupac and Biggie Smalls? Am I hearing this right? Prosecutors confirmed that Diddy's name was used 77 times in documentation alleging that Diddy was the one that put the hit out on Tupac. Keefy D, the man who is convicted of and has admitted to killing Tupac, confirms that Diddy offered him $1 million for the hit. So back in the 90s, Diddy was doing a West Coast tour and hired Keefy D to be his bodyguard. Keefy D says it's at that time that Diddy offered him $1 million to kill Tupac. And if you're thinking Keefy D just brought this up now because Diddy's already in a heap of shit, you're wrong. Court records indicate this was brought to the prosecutor's attention back in 2009. Now, Eminem has stepped it up a notch, saying that not only did Diddy kill Tupac, he killed Biggie Smalls too. Listen to his new song lyrics.
It's all in the music right there. We be saying music is a message.
What do you guys think?
Part 22 of...
Man, the stuff that was going on with Diddy, man. I mean, you never know. So I've been hearing like his, conspiracy theories about that for years, about how saying, I guess Diddy set up Tupac, but you guys think we should go down that rabbit hole? You guys got any theories?
Some of the most horrifying submechanophobia things I've ever seen in my life. This is a gigantic 40-foot tall animatronic that is at the Rio de Janeiro festival in Brazil. Now I'm going to show you a video of it moving later, but look how absolutely massive it is compared to these tiny people. Absolutely not. Yeah, look how big it is. When you get to the end of this video and you see how big it is moving, you are going to be ill. This is what the entire float looks like. It is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive.
Like a damn robot. Imagine seeing that, bro. Like moving at night.
You guys are awesome! Oh my goodness! So I just recently came out with a brand new...
Less than 2 hours after that video was filmed, the girl on stage in that video would be dead. Her name was Christina Grimmie. She was a famous singer here in America, and she was murdered in 2016. So Christina had been making music and performing all of her life, but her real rise to fame started when she was on the show The Voice. After Christina was on The Voice, the world kind of opened up for her. She made her major label debut, she started going on tours all across the world, and she was a rising star. Sadly though, she attracted the attention of a very disturbed individual who can actually be seen here in footage from her final show, creepily watching Christina perform from the crowd, knowing what he was about to do. That man was 27-year-old Kevin James Loibl. So Christina's performance that evening ended at about 10 p.m. And afterwards, she moved over to a little booth to sign autographs for people who had come to the show. At around 10:24 p.m., Kevin approached Christina. Christina, thinking he was just like every other fan there, opened her arms up to give him a big hug. But that's when Kevin retrieved a Glock pistol from his person and shot her 3 times at point-blank range. After the shots rang out, Christina's brother tackled Kevin to the ground. Yes, sadly, Christina's brother was there working the booth with her that evening. But after a fight, Kevin managed to get himself free. Sadly, Christina had been shot twice in the chest and once in the head. And by 10:59 p.m., not even a full hour after she finished her performance, Christina Grimmie was pronounced dead. Afterwards, Kevin's family left this note for the media. This was all they had to say after the tragedy. But fans, even to this day, remember Christina as an amazing singer and talk about the potential that she had if she hadn't been taken from this world so quickly. If you want to listen to more true crime stories, check out the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife, Courtney. You can listen to it on any streaming platform.
You truly never know, man, what's your last moments. She was just out here singing, living her dreams. Then that tragedy happened, bro.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Hey, excuse me. Nada. Are you doing dishes? I hope so.
What the? Is that a cat on a damn Thriller?
Creepy facts that will disturb you. Somehow the organs in your body know exactly what order that they're supposed to be in. So when surgeons perform their job, they don't typically reorganize them because they rearrange themselves correctly automatically.
Disturbing things Disneyland doesn't want you to know. A few years ago in Disney World, Florida, a little boy was snatched by a crocodile, and his remains were found a few hours later in a lake next to the park. Apparently the kid was just next to the water when the crocodile ate him up. Next, did you know that Disneyland has only closed 3 times throughout history? They were when JFK was shot, after a massive earthquake in 1994, and on September 11th, 2001. So let's just say they count on keeping their parks open for as long as possible. And finally, some rumors say that the skulls on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride are actually real human skulls. And if that's real, that is pretty messed up.
When they're making that amount of money, bro, that's all they care about.
How is it possible for an entire group of people to hear or see someone who doesn't actually exist? Welcome to Creep Time on TikTok with Celestine. This is the unexplained mystery of Frida Sofia. In 2017, Mexico was hit with a devastating earthquake that crushed multiple buildings. One of those buildings being a school right in Mexico City. There were, of course, numerous children and adults who were trapped under the rubble, but there was one girl in particular who caught the attention of the media. A 12-year-old girl trapped under the debris who was responding to rescuers saying that her name was Frida Sofia. There was round-the-clock coverage, and a nation assembled around the story of Frida, and she became a symbol of hope in these efforts to rescue the children and her. Rescuers and journalists had multiple accounts of speaking with Frida and confirmed that she was far down beneath the rubble underneath a piece of granite but physically stable. There are some responders who report even seeing her wiggle her fingers far down through a crack in the debris. But here's the problem. Frida did not exist. The school actually comes forward and makes a statement saying that they have all children accounted for and they have never had a record of a girl named Frida Sofia. Multiple stations and people of leadership have to come forward and make statements of retraction and say that she's not down there, she never was, and she's not real. Suspected of being one of the largest cases of mass hysteria in modern history, it is completely unexplained how there were so many separate accounts of people who claim to speak to her or even see her beneath the rubble. Ultimately, the existence of Frida is a complete mystery, and there are still some people who believe she was really down there in that debris.
Was that real or cat, man?
This video shows how many McDonald's each country has, and we're starting off with Russia at 0. We're slowly going to be ramping up to the country with the most McDonald's. It's crazy to think about how almost every single country in the world has a McDonald's. No matter where you are, you could literally walk for 10 minutes and find a McDonald's around you. Now, we have to admit, we all know who is going to be number 1. It has to be the US, but I wonder who is in the top 3. Right, we have South Korea with 447. Australia at 981, which is kind of crazy to think about. France is up there as well. I don't know, Japan had it like this. But the United States with 13,000. America.
A mother hid her baby daughter in a drawer for 3 years, feeding
her only milky Weetabix via a syringe. The toddler was kept a secret from the woman's partner and her other children. Chester Crown Court heard she had never known daylight or fresh air until she was found weeks before her 3rd birthday by the woman's partner. She was left without food for long periods of time and was so malnourished that she had the appearance of a 7-month-old. The mother admitted child cruelty and was jailed for 7.5 years. The judge told her the consequences for the child were nothing short of catastrophic.
This is a story of the worst otter attack in history. And disclaimer, you're going to be mad at the end of this. And not at the otters. This is Silvio Delmar Hollenbeck, a Brazilian military man and war hero visiting the Brasilia Zoo with his family when a 13-year-old fell into the otter mode. Except these weren't regular otters. These were giant river otters. And yes, giant's their first name. You know, the ones that can grow to 6 feet long, can turn a caiman into a belt, and put a jaguar in reverse with no key. You've never seen him that shook. The most dangerous thing about them is the power of friendship. Don't laugh, I'm serious. See, in a river that can have an anaconda, caiman, even a cracked out aggro kitty, the animals nicknamed river wolves are considered the most dominant, because if you threaten one of them, doesn't matter if you're a 300-pound assault weapon with whiskers. Anything seen as a threat to the family gets jumped. And yeah, that 13-year-old was a threat. Hollenbeck said, "Don't hold me back," and full sent it into the pool and lifted the injured kid out. Of course, that meant now Hollenbeck was a threat. The otters ganged up on him, dragged him into the water, and severely mauled him in front of his family. I'm talking torn to pieces. He'd eventually get pulled out, but getting bit over 100 times in a micro mosh pit meant he would pass away in a military hospital days later to an infection. His family mourned him, the community celebrated him, and the zoo memorialized him. Yeah, you forgot, you're supposed to be mad. Well, that 13-year-old that got a whole man turned into a chew toy? Yeah, if he was grateful, he never said a word. He never thanked the family, he never offered his condolences, couldn't even get a Christmas card in the equation. And this was in the 70s. You know where that kid is now? Well, in 2016, Adelson Florencio da Costa would be arrested for helping scam millions of pension money. So yeah, war hero got mauled to death just for someone's kid to end up a worse version of Eddie without Ed or Ed. Yep, you're mad now, but I warned you.
Yeah.
You know this video is 10 times scarier when you know what giraffes sound like? Giraffes make noise. It's just nothing you'd ever expect, or maybe you would. People be having the wrong idea. I think they see the face card, the lashes, and the fact Friends Ross played one, and y'all think it's sweet. Well, imagine a homicidal inflatable salesman, and that's how they settle disputes. They could top golf your torso if they wanted to. And they have dinner plates for feet, and they're sharp, meaning if they kick you in the right spot, they could punch your head like a field goal. They're so dangerous, I'm not going to show it, but there's a compilation of mother giraffes trying to defend their babies, only to accidentally delete it themselves by kicking it to death. So yeah, giraffes are a high-stepping sleeper build, and they sound like one too. Ooh, that's a concussion. You see, we used to think this walking chimney was like the G in lasagna, silent, and science said it was because their necks were too long for airflow to reach their vocal cords. Scientists recorded thousands of hours of audio over the course of 8 years to hear what the raft really says. Turns out they say a lot, we just weren't listening. Yeah, imagine hearing that and seeing this. One theory is that it's like infrasound and helps them keep track of each other in darkness. They also think because it sounds so much like ritual chanting that it's literally them just humming themselves to sleep. When you think of it like that, it's not that bad. It doesn't make it sound any less like Jurassic Park. The more you know.
This is a true horrifying story, part 30. This story took place in Medina, Saudi Arabia in the year 2001. And the person who said this story is Dr. Yasser Qadi. He's someone that is known in the community of the Islamic Da'iyas. There are exorcists from all religions, Muslims, Christians, and Jewish. And their job is to perform an exorcism session on a person who is possessed by a demon or a jinn. When Dr. Yasser was a student, he studied in Medina. There was a known exorcist that practiced ruqya for many years, and Dr. Yasser wanted to learn from him. Back at the dorm of the Islamic college, there was a student that is a fresh convert, just recently converted to Islam. He barely knows anything about the religion, small bits of the Quran, does not know the ahadith, and doesn't know the big scholars in Islam. One day, the students were reading Quran out loud back at the dorm, and this new convert student starts to scream and roll on the ground. They knew he was possessed, so they called Dr. Yasser. Now remember, Dr. Yasser was still a student back then. He was not an expert in exorcism. He goes there and has a 2-hour session of ruqya, the ruqya that he recently learned, trying to kick out the demon out of this kid's body. As he reads Quran, he would see an alien-like movement on the kid's body. His skin would ripple up and down. A human being cannot do this intentionally. He would follow the movement with his hands reading the Quran, and he would see it move somewhere else. After the session was over, the kid looked fine, and they got lunch for everyone to eat. They say Bismillah, and they ask the new convert to join them for lunch. He said, "I'm not hungry." It's okay. As they were eating, one of the students drops a piece of his food on the ground and ignores it. The convert student immediately jumps like a snake, picks it up and gobbles it down with his left hand. Dr. Yasser lets the food go and gets up, knowing that this kid is still possessed. He tries to intimidate this demon by shouting, "I'm gonna bring Sheikh bin Uthaymeen to read on you." Now, Sheikh bin Uthaymeen is a huge Islamic scholar, and he passed away around that time in January 2001. This kid laughs hysterically with a raspy demonic voice. He gets up and he asks, "Are you going to bring him back from the dead?" This is when they all realize that this wasn't a human entity that spoke. How can this new convert know who Sheikh bin Uthaymeen is? And why would he say he's not hungry but ate food that dropped on the ground? And how was his skin rippling? Jinns can harm you, and the harm is tangible. This is not a joke. Being possessed is very, very real. Even to exorcists, it's very dangerous, and only people with very strong faith can do it.
What do you guys think?
She suffered a traumatic brain injury and her new husband fully supports it. In 2008, 24-year-old Brandon Smith was in a tragic car accident and suffered severe brain injury that changed his life forever. Brandon and Kristen married only 2 years prior, but when Kristen realized that her husband would never fully recover, she filed for divorce. But she agreed to take care of him until the day he dies, and so she filed paperwork to be his legal guardian. After the divorce, Kristen feared that it'd be impossible to find a man who would genuinely love and accept Brandon in their life. But in 2014, Kristen met her now new husband, James. And yeah, they both take care of Brandon together despite Brandon being Kristen's ex-husband. At Kristen and James's wedding, he vowed to love Brandon no matter what. Kristen and James have kids together and they treat Brandon like he's part of the family. Kristen says that James has never expressed or shown any jealousy, and instead he's accepted Brandon with wide open arms.
Disturbing facts you wish you didn't know. There's something called anesthesia awareness, which is where you wake up mentally during surgery. You can feel all the pain and you can see, but you cannot move or speak. And the scariest part is, no one even knows you're feeling every cut and incision. And there's stories of people going through 7-hour surgeries feeling every single thing. When you smell something bad, that thing is actually in your nose. When you smell something bad, you're breathing in tiny molecules of that and they're hitting inside your nose, so you might want to be a little careful next time you're inhaling your own fart. Most television laugh tracks were recorded in the 1950s, so you're most likely listening to dead people laughing. Your lip skin is the same type of skin as your anus. They share the same skin because they're the two ends of the pipe called the alimentary canal.
The creepiest places in the world. Gate to Hell, Turkmenistan. It's been burning for past 40 years, and no one knows when it's going to stop.
Lake Natron, Tanzania.
Due to high levels of salt contents, everything that touches the lake turns to pure stone.
We will not be going there. Check that off the bucket list.
Videos that seem innocent but have a terrifying backstory. Part 5. This man kept finding food in his apartment that he wasn't eating, so he asked his girlfriend about it and she said that she wasn't eating it either. He didn't believe her, so he set up a video camera to catch her eating the food in the middle of the night. The next morning, when he checked his video camera, he found footage of a woman that he didn't recognize walking throughout his house. He called the cops immediately, and as it turns out, she had been living there for weeks. This next video shows 24-year-old Hollywood actor James Dean giving a public service announcement on the importance of safe driving habits. Nearly a week later, Dean was killed in a head-on collision where he crashed his Porsche at an intersection. The following is a home video of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer taken on Thanksgiving Day. At the time this was taken, he had murdered and eaten the flesh of 9 people.
Yeah, like I said before, it gets too expensive and it does. I have to start eating at home more.
What he was doing. That was some eerie footage. I can all know what he did. What was that?
This was the real-life Stewie Griffin, and it was pretty disturbing. In the quiet town of Moon City, Rhode Island, a boy named Brock Lee was born on October 10th, 1954. At first, everything seemed normal. Just 6 months in, a deep man's voice echoed through the house at night. Brock's parents, Pete and Laurie, thought their home was haunted. They called in local ghost hunters, but no one could explain it. Hoping to escape whatever it was, the family moved, but the mysterious voice followed them. Then came Brock's first birthday party. As guests gathered, and the TV played in the background, a live police chase broke out on the news. Everyone laughed at how much the fleeing car looked like theirs, until the chase turned onto their own street. To everyone's shock, the car crashed, and their baby, Brock, stepped out, marched inside, and yelled in a deep voice, "Lock the doors!" When police finally entered and arrested him, they discovered the impossible truth. Brock, barely a year old, had the mind of a fully grown genius. The voice haunting their home all year had been his.
1 in a Million, Part 6. In 2003, 24-year-old Juan Catalan was arrested for the execution-style murder of a teenage girl who had just testified in a gang-related case. He spent nearly 6 months in prison and came dangerously close to facing the death penalty. Catalan had a strong alibi. He was at a Dodgers game with his 6-year-old daughter at the time of the killing, but he struggled to find a way to prove it. That was until his lawyer discovered that Curb Your Enthusiasm had filmed at the stadium that exact night. After combing through thousands of hours of raw footage, they found a brief but crystal clear shot of Catalan sitting in his seat holding popcorn with his daughter beside him, accidentally caught in the background of a scene that was never used. Combined with cell phone data confirming he was at the stadium during the time of the murder, the charges were dropped and Catalan was released. Had the camera panned just a few feet in a different direction, an innocent man might have been executed for a crime that he had absolutely nothing to do with.
Caught him in 4K.
This is why you should never approach an abandoned baby carriage. There was a woman who was driving home from work who passed an abandoned black baby carriage. Pulled over to check it to make sure there wasn't a baby inside and see what was going on because it was really weird. Why was it just like in the middle of the road? There was a blanket on top of the carriage so you couldn't see what was inside. Naturally, she pulled the blanket off and she freaked out. She got right back in her car and drove off. Enjoy my stock image. She couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, she could not stop thinking about this. She was really stressed and her husband kept asking her like, "Are you okay? What happened? Like, what's going on?" And she couldn't talk about it. Everything in her life was going wrong. She decided to pack her bags and leave, and no one actually knows where she went or what happened to her. But she did leave a note behind for her husband. Also, this is more what the basket looked like. It looked like an old-fashioned one rather than a modern one. The husband read the note, and the note said this: "Whoever reads this note is doomed to have a cursed life unless you pass it on." So the baby carriage was a trap. The person put the baby carriage on the road hoping someone kind would go look and see if everything was okay, only to then be cursed. Now, I would show you the physical note, but I can't because this is a creepypasta and I tricked you. Let me know if you fell for it. Come over here if you want to see more of my content.
Imagine going to a family Christmas dinner and almost everyone dies from poisoning. This woman tried to kill her husband's entire family by giving them a cake she baked that was laced with arsenic. 3 family members passed away, 3 others were hospitalized, and this woman who poisoned everyone ended up taken on December 23rd when 42-year-old Diaz Mora baked a cake and invited her husband's entire family over. That evening, they began cutting the cake that they would normally eat on Christmas Eve, and almost everyone complained about the taste and that it tasted a little weird. But they still ate a significant amount of cake, and almost everyone felt sick right away, and 3 people died right then and there. Investigators tested all the ingredients in the house and found that the flour used in the cake was laced with arsenic. But what's absolutely crazy is that a couple of months earlier, Diaz's father-in-law also suddenly died, and they exhumed his body and found high levels of poison. So they think that she also took his life. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, what was the motive? Why did she do this? At first, the family didn't understand what caused her to commit this crime, but then they thought about it and they remembered a disagreement they had 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and they believe that she might have not got over this disagreement, and that's why she tried to unalive everyone. But things don't even end there, because while Diaz sat in prison, her husband told her that he wanted a divorce, and a day later, she that her dad had just shot her. But tragically, Sarah and her sister Amina passed away before help arrived. After Yasser took the lives of his 2 daughters, he fled for 12 years. He was captured in 2020, and he's been in prison for more than 4 years, and now he finally gave his first interview where he basically denied everything. Throughout this entire interview, he did not seem regretful for what he did, and instead he tried to tell a different story and claimed that he was the victim.
You make it sound like you're the victim here. Is that what you believe?
Exactly.
You're the victim?
Yes.
And said that he was being framed because of a conspiracy. According to Yasser, the FBI and the media used his case to push a political agenda.
I want my voice to be heard. The FBI knows that. My case is being used to achieve cheap political points.
Cheap political points?
Yes.
You say the FBI knows that you are innocent?
They know that, and I will tell you why.
Let me ask you this. In your letters to the judge, right, you write, in my case, you could smell conspiracy in the atmosphere.
Yes.
So that's what this is about. Conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy.
Of course.
Cat.
How are y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling? I see the smile.
Have been in court for the past 7 weeks, hearing graphic details of their father's sex life. Their support, though, has remained steadfast. Now they're learning to.
You heard Diddy, you know, some of the charges got dropped.
Psychology facts that'll blow your mind. You're programmed to like the music you listen to in high school the most. From the ages of 12 to 22, everything feels more important, so we tend to emphasize everything that happened in those years. We're programmed to see human faces in almost everything. Your brain is programmed to process images for emotional expression, which is why so many people can find human faces in so many random things. When you remember the past, you're not actually remembering the past, you're remembering the last time you remembered. Your brain treats rejection like physical pain. The same areas of the brain become activated when we experience physical pain and when we experience rejection. Sarcasm is a sign of a healthy brain. People who could instantly use sarcasm to a trivial question tended to have healthier minds.
Is this proof that the Pyramid Lake babies are real? There's a lake in Nevada called Pyramid Lake, and it holds a dark, tragic secret. Hundreds of years ago, a group of pirates lived around the shores. And these pirates were known everywhere for being really strong and indestructible. Whenever they had a baby in the tribe that was born weak or premature or malformed, they would throw it into the lake because they didn't want to be associated with anybody like that. And their twisted belief came from removing the weak at birth. But their terrible actions ended up cursing this lake forever. Now the spirits of these babies haunt this lake. These are babies who never even got the chance to live, and they are known as the Pyramid Lake babies. Since they were robbed of their lives, they are known to be filled with anger. At night, their restless souls will rise from the water. They will fight, they will scream, they will wail, and their noises will be echoing around the lake. They're searching for a way to get revenge on the tribe that abandoned them. So if you're ever near Pyramid Lake and you hear cries or just strange noises, don't try to help. These spirits do not want to be saved. They want to trap your spirit forever. You can come over here for longer freaky videos.
There are a lot of updates coming out about the Idaho case. So this is really just a recap, just to report out everything that's being reported publicly, keep people informed. And this has been double sourced not only to the reporting sources that first put it out, but also to the police press conferences. Now that Bryan Kohberger is in custody as their lead suspect, it is being reported that his DNA was found on the button of a sheath to the knife that was possibly used in the murders. There's also a public affidavit that might have leaked or it was publicly put out that shows that DM, which we're assuming might have been the roommate, was awake and saw him at the time of the murders. He supported this even further by saying that there was security camera footage that's now being made public from 50 feet away from the house at around 4:17 a.m. where you can hear the dog barking. And further confirmations from some of that leaked information that suggested that Xana Kernodle was most likely awake at the time of her murder. Also evidence that Bryan was trying to apply and work for the police department that would be investigating his own murders.
Wow, what the hell? What?
Government is who you blame if you feel that these victims didn't get justice because he was guilty of the domestic violence and all those things. But you know what they did? They swung for the fence and they went for a RICO.
Basically today the jury decided that a FRICO is not a RICO.
How do you feel about the verdict today?
I'm very happy. I feel like justice was served. I've been to a few of his parties and there's been nothing but generosity and positivity, and I've never seen anything negative ever.
I'm an independent journalist that had predicted this was going to be what happened. I said the RICO is weak.
Hopefully he do get some therapy. Hopefully he does get some help. Seek some help. Stay away from the D-rugs and the addiction. But my question is for the people that were complicit, that you think he was guilty, what about everybody that got supposed immunities and proffer agreements and all of that?
Whoa, he was spitting, man. This Diddy case, bro. It's going away, man. People wasn't expecting. People thought Diddy was going away. I mean, when most of his charges got dropped, I think that was a sign right there.
This is one of the craziest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So almost 100 years ago, there was an aquarium in Australia that had a giant tiger shark on display. And the legend goes that one day, in front of like groups of families, the shark threw up a human arm. And not only is that true, but it opened a murder investigation. Also, this week's episode is all about Australian true urban legends, so make sure you listen. So after the shark threw up the human arm, the police had to figure out whose it was and why it was in the shark's belly. Well, the first thing the police noticed was the arm was cut cleanly, not jagged like it was from a shark bite, meaning that the arm was intentionally cut. So now it's clear that this was a murder, but whose arm is it? Well, one thing they noticed is that the arm has two boxers in a fighting stance tattooed on it. So they end up writing about that in the paper, and one guy who was reading it goes, "Hey, that sounds like my brother's tattoo." His brother was a man named Jim Smith, and he was involved in the seedy underbelly of Sydney society. Jimmy ran insurance fraud scams in Sydney, and he was just involved with a lot of bad people. And the last person he was seen with was one of Sydney's most notorious criminals. The story has a lot of twists, including how was he involved with the last guy he was seen with. And there's a lot of fun Australian urban legends like the story of the Button Man, so make sure you check out this week's episode.
They just found 383 bodies in a so-called funeral home, y'all. Somebody tell me how nearly 400 bodies was discovered in one building and nobody noticed for years. They wasn't cremating them, y'all. They was letting the bodies sit, developing a smell. Do you know how strong that smell had to been? And nobody knew? Yeah, alright. This was at a crematorium right near the U.S. and Mexico border, y'all. And get this, y'all, they said some of the bodies that's there was only there for a month. Y'all, and the crazy part is, family members were getting handed ashes in an urn, thinking it was their family members, and it wasn't the whole time. They was thinking their family members was getting cremated, and the whole time, they were doing some weird shit probably. The Mexican authorities say some of these bodies date back from like 3 to 4 years ago. So they said as of right now, they arrested the owner and some of the employees that work there. I don't know, but it feel like something dark going on behind this shit. They said this was in a cartel heavy zone in an area called Juarez, right across from El Paso, Texas, y'all. They said in that area, a lot of trafficking or disappearances take place. So if they found all these bodies in this one place, how many other places are doing the same thing? And how many family members were being lied to, saying they were giving their family ashes when the whole time their bodies was still in the same place? I need y'all thoughts on this as always. This shit crazy, fool.
Yeah, that's an important question, man. I saw that was tragic.
As I live and breathe, I'm going to tell you that it is still breathtaking. No matter how many times I see this happen, it is still breathtaking to hear someone like this, and I'm going to say it for the first time on air, this sick and twisted murderer. This sick and twisted murderer. It's breathtaking to hear him confess. It's breathtaking to hear him say, yes. It's breathtaking to now know after 2.5 years of him saying, it isn't me, it's someone else. It's you. You are the sick and twisted murderer, Brian Kohberger. Legally, we can say it because he said it. I just can't tell you, it just does not get old to see a dry hearing like this, where maybe we didn't get the motive or the details, but we now know that is the sick man that did this.
One of the girls you are looking at in this picture has no idea that in the next few hours she will be killed. This is Cheyenne Rose and Brittany Gargle, and they're doing what every young girl does and taking a selfie. They posted the picture on Facebook and they went out for a night together. The story goes that the two were inside having a drink when Brittany was approached by a man, and the two apparently hit it off so well that she was invited back to his place. Cheyenne messaged Brittany on Facebook asking where she was, but nobody was answering. The next morning, somebody was driving next to a landfill where they ended up discovering the lifeless body of of Brittany. The man called the police to report a dead body, and this is where things take a dark turn. The police questioned Cheyenne about what happened, and Cheyenne basically just shows them the messages she was sending Brittany and saying, look, I have nothing to do with this. What Cheyenne is forgetting to tell the police is the messages she was sending to Brittany, she already knew she wasn't going to respond. See, Cheyenne lied about Brittany ever meeting a man. This never happened. Instead, the two got into an argument. Cheyenne took off her belt, as you can see in this picture, and tied it around her neck and strangled her. Cheyenne even went as far as commenting on her Facebook saying, I wish heaven had visiting hours so I could come see you, but I'm so glad you visited me in my dream last night. She was sentenced to only 7 years in prison, and chances are she's probably watching this video. Make sure to like and follow for more true crime stories tomorrow.
What's the scariest urban legend from your state? Today we're doing Missouri. Once again, we're talking about a haunted road, and this one is very creepy. Zombie Road was constructed in the late 1860s. It was originally built to gain access to the Merrimack River and the railroad tracks that were running right beside it. This 2-mile stretch of road had an eerie feel about it from the very beginning, probably because of how dangerous it was to drive along this road. You couldn't see what was ahead of you, and it would often cast really weird shadows. Eventually, this stretch of road would fall into disrepair, and in the 1950s, it became a lover's lane of sorts, where young couples would go to find alone time. They would also throw parties along this road and the likes. But many urban legends have plagued this road from the very beginning. One of the scariest was of a creepy guy who lived along this road in a shack, and he would frequently hurt young teenagers who came to use this area to be alone. People also talk about frequently seeing a woman in white or a woman who is walking along the road who gives off a bluish white light. Many people think that this is the wife of a local judge who passed away in 1876 due to an accident on the railroad track. Some people have even reported hearing a woman screaming at them from some of the abandoned shacks that are around the area, but when they go to investigate who was screaming at them, there is never anybody there. There is also a legend of a small boy who drowned in the river, and people often report hearing him and seeing him, but again, he's just never there. There have been several reports of paranormal activity, but many people just write this off as it's just a creepy trail in the first place. Like, it gives a really weird vibe, and when you feel like you're being watched, you're probably not. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. But others think that this is a hotspot for paranormal activity because of the deaths that have happened there, not just from the judge's wife or the young boy who lost his life or this alleged serial killer that's running around, but there were also many train derailments around this area as well. As it sits today, it's a bike trail. It's called Rock Hollow Trail, and so you can still ride on this road. So would you do it? Are you brave enough? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and follow for more creepy things.
No! The place sounds haunted, man. Too many events, bro, took place there, man. When I go to Missouri, we won't be going there. Another place off the list.
Top 3 creepy last words people said right before dying. A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she had a sweet patient named Ella who started to lose herself to dementia. She started talking to herself. Most of the time it was playful. She would laugh to herself. One day, the nurse walked into her room and she was in a complete panic. She had her blanket pulled up to her chin, and she was completely pale. The nurse went to her bedside to ask her what was wrong, and she said, "There is a woman in black looking in my window, and I am just petrified of her smile." The nurse said that it shook her hard. Reddit user Simple Simon 6262 said that when he was a student, he got called in on a stroke patient. She had coded and they were doing CPR. They worked for 45 minutes. But she died. They cleaned her up and called on her family to say goodbye. By the time her family left, she had been both brain dead and without a pulse for for over 45 minutes. He said that blood had filled her brain and she was completely gray and had started to smell. Suddenly, she sat up and called for her family. The nurses rushed to get equipment and monitors back on her. She stabilized, said goodbye to her family, and promptly died a second time. Reddit user AJH1717 said that he works in a cardiovascular surgical ICU. He said that they had a stretch of nights where each corner room of their unit reported seeing a black cat walking around. Not a friendly cat either, apparently. The thing was hissing at them. The accounts were so similar to each other that they probably spent half an hour looking for the cat. Then they had security look as well. No cat was ever seen or found. 2 of those 4 patients coded the next day.
This funeral home owner left 190 bodies inside of a building and sent fake ashes to all of the families. He is now going to spend 20 years behind bars for this wire fraud. Now, on top of the 20 years, he also has to pay $1 million for the wire fraud, too. In my opinion, maybe he should serve a year for every body he mishandled, so 190 years? And he committed all of this fraud after the families had paid. So these grieving families just wanting, their loved ones to have peace, get cremated, or get buried, they didn't get anything out of this. And he mishandled all those bodies with memories and family values attached to them. He also didn't preserve these bodies in the right way. He let them stack up in various stages of decay and decomposition. It was so bad that there was a foul odor coming from them, and he just kind of hid it. He closed all the windows, he closed the doors, he didn't let anyone access the building to hide these bodies. He delivered the wrong body twice for a burial, and then he sent concrete mix inside of these urns and tried to disguise them as ashes. This guy and his business, biggest frauds of all time. He also tried to take $880,000 from COVID-19 relief funds back in the day, too.
Scientists said the odds of it happening were 1 in 74 trillion. While 34-year-old Ann Hodges was napping on her couch in Alabama in 1954, a softball-sized meteorite tore through her roof, bounced off her radiator, and slammed into her side, leaving a massive bruise but miraculously sparing her life. She had become the only confirmed person in history to be struck by a meteorite. The space rock triggered a legal battle between Ann and her landlord over ownership, but it ended up in Ann's possession. The rock is now on display at the Alabama Museum of Natural History. Tom Cruise divorced all 3 of his ex-wives when they turned 33, and each is 11 years younger than the last. In 2009, a retired policeman named Geraint Wolford was admitted to Abergele Hospital in North Wales. Amazingly, it just so happened that he was put next to another retired policeman named Geraint Wolford. The men weren't related, had never met, and were the only 2 people in Europe named Geraint Wolford. In 2004, Grandma Dorothy Fletcher suddenly suffered a heart attack on her flight to Florida. When the stewardess asked if there was a doctor on board, 15 people quickly stood up. It was a group of heart doctors on their way to a cardiology conference.
She took the life of her coworker over some Lululemon leggings. On March 12th of 2011, just before 8 a.m., Rachel walked to a Lululemon store in Maryland where she was the manager at. Once she got to the front door, she noticed it was already unlocked. Once Rachel went inside, she noticed that the clothing racks were scattered all over the floor, mannequins were in pieces on the floor, and she could hear a faint moan in the back of the store. Rachel was terrified. She turned around, ran outside, and called 911. Right next door to that Lululemon was an Apple store, and a guy named Ryan worked there as a security guard, and he saw how frantic Rachel was, and he told her that he would go inside to see what was going on. Once Ryan went inside, he followed a trail of blood to the back room, and that's when he found the store supervisor, Jana, unalived. As Ryan turned around to leave, he saw another employee, Brittany Norwood, and she was lying in the employee bathroom. Her hands were zip-tied, her shirt was pulled up, and there was a Lululemon t-shirt around her neck. Although Jana did not survive this attack, Brittany was okay. Once police arrived, Jana was pronounced dead at the scene, and she suffered from 331 wounds from 5 different weapons, including a wrench and a hammer. 200 of those wounds were on her face and her neck, and 100 of them were defense wounds. Jana was alive for the entire attack until a fatal stab wound hit her spinal cord. As for Brittany, she had a gash on her forehead. She received stitches for it and was released from the hospital that same day. Everyone just assumed that this was a robbery gone wrong, but this was far from the truth. On the night of the attacks, Jana and Brittany were working the closing shift together, and around 9:30 p.m. they closed up and left. Once they left, Brittany had realized she left something back inside of the store, and since Jana was the only one with the keys, she asked her to come back to open the door for her. Jana unlocked the door and disabled the alarm. As Jana and Brittany were looking around the store, 2 masked men came in, and they were all wearing black. Allegedly, these guys beat Jana to death, essayed both of the girls, and let Brittany live because she was more fun to do it with. Apparently, this was Brittany's story to police, but police weren't really buying it. When Brittany told police that there was 2 masked men that came in, they started to investigate the place and only saw 2 footprints, which would be Brittany's shoes and a men's size 14 shoes. There was no evidence of SA from either woman, and on Brittany, it wasn't her own blood, it was Jana's. Brittany was caught in a lie, and eventually the truth came out. On the night of the attacks, Jana saw Brittany stuff a pair of Lululemon leggings in her purse and confronted her about it. Once they locked up the store, Jana got in her car, called her manager Rachel to tell her what she had saw Brittany do. A few minutes later, Jana received a call from Brittany telling her she had left something in the store, and that's when Jana turned around to go open the store for her. While Brittany pretended to search for her item, she attacked Jana from behind. She stabbed, beat, and choked Jana for 17 minutes. That night, employees at the Apple store nearby could hear screaming, and they just figured it was nothing. They thought it was just drama going on at the Lululemon store. Once Brittany took Jana's life, she went into her car and moved it. Meanwhile, she was thinking of a plan to stage the scene. She grabbed Jana's blood and put it all over her face, and she cut a hole in the crotch of her leggings. Finally, she grabbed a men's size 14 shoe and walked around the back room to leave footprints to hopefully throw off police. Once Brittany was all done, she zip-tied herself and laid down on the bathroom floor, waiting to be discovered 10 hours later. Brittany ended up being arrested about a week later, and she admitted to everything that she had just lost it at the heat of the moment. Brittany was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
This is one of the scariest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So there's this stretch of road in Turkey along the D100, and the urban legend says that if your car breaks down on the side of this road, do not get out of the car. Because according to the locals, one night, a few people got into an accident, and when they got out of their cars, they all melted on the road. Well, this is coming from an episode I just did on urban legends that ended up being true, but it turns out there is a reason that they all spread this legend around. In 1965, a passenger bus was traveling down this road when it crashed into a big truck carrying a bunch of water, and it caused water to spill out all over the road. The passengers got out of the bus because they were okay, but when their feet touched the pavement, their shoes started to melt, and it felt like their feet were on fire. And that's because the truck was not carrying water, it was carrying nitric acid, an acid that dissolves skin on contact. As they were on the ground crawling away from the accident, the acid was melting the skin off of their bones. And the worst part in all of this is that a group of 12 people saw a bunch of water that had collected in a drainage ditch and thought they should jump into it to protect themselves. But really, they jumped into a pool of undiluted acid and dissolved within moments. If you want to hear more urban legends and the even scarier stories they're based on, check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, and this is part of a whole series that we do.
Man, another place off the Turkey, that road, you won't be going there, man. A pool of acid, and he thought it was water. They jumped into it not knowing. Truly, man.
Morbid Facts, Part 315. In 2006, Abraham Shakespeare won $30 million in the Florida lottery and tried to use it to help others, giving away large sums to friends, family, and even strangers. But sadly, his generosity made him a target. A woman named Doris Dee Moore pretended to help manage his finances, slowly taking control of his assets while isolating him from loved ones. In 2009, Abraham suddenly vanished without a trace. Months later, his body was found buried beneath a concrete slab behind Dee Dee's property, shot twice in the chest and covered with lime. In 2012, Moore was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Florence Lawrence, often called the first movie star, rose to fame in the early 1900s and became one of the first film actors to be publicly credited by name. At the height of her career, she suffered a devastating injury in 1915 when a staged fire spiraled out of control, leaving her with severe burns and a fractured spine. Universal Studios refused to pay her medical bills, and her career never recovered. Over the years, she faded into obscurity, taking uncredited roles and struggling with chronic pain and depression. When she died in 1938, she was buried in an unmarked grave, as Hollywood had all but forgotten the woman who helped define it.
First time hearing about
The car wash owner who passed away had a dying wish to shower the streets with money. Just hours after his funeral, a helicopter flew over Detroit and dropped what witnesses believe was around $50,000 in cash. His family thought it would just be rose petals, but he had one last surprise to thank his community.
I want to talk about the hardest part to watch in the new Ruby Frankie docuseries, because the way I wanted to scream every time Kevin was on the screen. So I cover a lot of dark but interesting and informative documentaries, so follow along if that's your thing. But this is a new docuseries about Ruby Frankie, a famous YouTuber who is really abusing her children behind the scenes. But one of the people they spend a lot of time interviewing is Kevin, Ruby's husband and the father of the children she was abusing. And Kevin really tries to paint himself as this sad and brainwashed husband who just wanted his wife's affection and would do anything for it, including watching her manipulate and abuse their children, which he conveniently leaves out. The abuse really starts ramping up when she lets this fraud therapist Jody Hildebrandt live in her house with her family, but that's also when she asks Kevin to leave the family, which he does. And for the next year, he admits that he never saw his children, and he blocked a lot of them so they couldn't even communicate with him. And the doc doesn't touch on this, but if you read Sherry Frankie's book, who's the oldest daughter, you learn that when Kevin stepped away from the family, there was an older man within the church that started abusing her. He weaseled his way into her life by claiming he was the only adult that really cared about her, and he was very controlling, including demanding that she share her location with him 24/7 so he could just see what she was up to. Meanwhile, her dad is nowhere to be found, so she had no one she could confide in. And the worst part for me is at the end when Kevin explains that he didn't really believe the cops when they said that they had rescued his children who had been abused for years by his wife. He figured that Ruby must be telling the truth. Maybe they really were possessed by demons. But then he sees the condition his kids are in and he fully believes that yes, there was abuse that happened. But then the documentary director asks him if he still loves Ruby, and without even a second thought, he says yes. After all this time, after all the abuse she did to his children, he still loved her. Anyways, read Sherry Frankie's book if you can. It's a great companion piece to the docuseries and it gives a lot more information. And buy it if you're able to, because she does deserve to be supported as an author.
Chilling, man.
That you or your friends are serial killers. Number 1, antisocial behavior. Number 2, setting things on fire. It doesn't have to be houses. Number 3, torturing animals. Number 4, having a troubled family history and substance abuse. Number 5, they're pretty smart but cannot keep a job. Do you know anyone that could be a serial killer?
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name.
Really?
71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. That's why they can't fly, but they are built for running. And they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
The hell?
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
This mother hits the...
Man, what is up, man? These freak accidents, bro. Like, it really sounded like something out of a comic book, man. You know, something traumatic happens to them. They wake up with new abilities or powers or something like that. Can't believe those stories, man. Are real. We're gonna have to check them out, see if we can find any more.
Sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and two kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the two kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her two kids. In March 2021, the mother and two kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th. And she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
It's just a dark case seekers, man. She was smart.
Tasteophobia. Thalassophobia.
Level 1. It's good. I'm still good right now. It's kind of scary. Could you imagine being out there? Yeah, I can't do that. Damn.
These toy designers messed up big time. I'm pretty sure there was a better spot to put this straw on Buzz Lightyear. Come on. And I've never seen a duck with 4 legs before. Have you? I poop glitter. But why is this even a toy? And why this designer made Harry Potter blue? I'll never understand. And this looks like a normal cute horse, right? Well, it actually has a Barbie head as the tail. I am a sweet baby. Let's have fun together. Yeah, you don't look too sweet. And I think there's something up with this Woody doll. And I'm not sure what's going on with this baby's eye.
What the hell is wrong with those toy designers, man? They weren't thinking.
Here are some of the rarest human mutations that actually exist. Firstly, every 1 in 1,000 people have a perfect 10 face, meaning that all of their features fit perfectly within these lines. Now, every 1 in 107 people experience something called mirror touch. It's where you feel the sensation of touch in the same or opposite body part when you see somebody else being touched. Now, 4% of people have something known as sweaty palm syndrome. I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's where your palms sweat when you're not even being active. And the rarest mutation is werewolf syndrome. This is where you have excessive hair growth all over your body. And only 50 people worldwide have this.
This is Tragedy by the Sea.
Werewolf syndrome. Interesting.
Photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gong, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away at the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement and had to smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Gypsy was inspired by a child who was constantly sick and ended up lying in his own puke. And Poe was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable by his color is red.
This 14-year-old boy
adds up.
his 83-year-old neighbor. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. On August 29th of 2018, 14-year-old Tyrone Harvin told his 83-year-old neighbor, Dorothy Mae Neal, that he would help her with some chores inside of her apartment. Before walking into her apartment, he made sure to grab a handful of condoms. Tyrone did help Dorothy with some chores before attacking her with a lamp. After that, Tyrone S.A.'d her, he fled her apartment, and he left her seriously injured on the floor and naked. Neighbors had asked police to do a welfare check on Dorothy since they hadn't seen her around for a couple of days. When officers showed up at her apartment, they noticed dried blood on her doorknob, and that's when they saw Dorothy lying naked on the floor. She was then taken to the University of Maryland Hospital Trauma Unit and unfortunately passed away that next day. When officers were at Dorothy's home, they noticed that there was several condom wrappers around her body as well as used condoms. A broken, bloodied lamp was also found by officers. Dorothy's autopsy revealed that she suffered extensive trauma to her head and genitals. There was DNA on Dorothy's body and in those condoms, and that DNA matched up to Tyrone. Despite all of the evidence, Tyrone's mom stood by his side and truly believed that he would never do something like this. On June 29th of 2022, Tyrone was convicted on first-degree murder, first-degree SA, and use of a deadly weapon. Tyrone was also sentenced to life in prison.
Oh no.
Whole life over there,
No,
y'all.
no, 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 silly. To dry it. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
Here's some
Sounds like
random
an edit.
things we all did as kids. Who remembers pouring glue all over their hand and peeling it off? How satisfying was that?
I
And we
remember that.
definitely have all gotten our fingers stuck in one of these at least one time. Who
True.
remembers feeling like the coolest kid with a pencil this small? And we all ran our fingers along these grooves at school. Admit it, we all stabbed our eraser with our pencil like this. And we definitely all unraveled the design of these pencils. And we all dove to the bottom of the pool to pick up these rings. Who remembers using these blocks in school? And we definitely all tried pushing down all of the colors at one time.
Did any of you guys do that, Seekers, in school? I remember
It's not
that.
something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Yet nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
War generals rarely to study.
Wow.
Coyote managed to finesse its two biggest enemies, and all they had to do was wait and play the long
game. So once upon a time, humanity saw this canyon puppy and decided it was on site ever since. America started murking coyotes like they were made out of oil. Mark Twain hated it so much, he wrote a 3-page MLA format essay on why coyotes deserve nothing. If you thought Kendrick hated Drake, that is nothing on the abhorrence this man had for a travel-sized wolf. So much that it literally inspired a pain magnet of a Looney Tune. Now here's the first problem of beefing with coyotes. Coyotes are basically canine cockroaches. The harder you try to murk them, the harder they work to birth them. Apparently they even have this roll call where a female will call out and all the coyotes in an area will answer. And if she doesn't hear a lot of yotes back, it'll actually trigger her body to make more pups. Now op number 2, wolves don't mess with coyotes at all. Like to a homicidal level. To the point where wolves will hard bully coyotes in the same area. Now here's where the get back happened. While we were out here spam killing coyotes, we were also at war with wolves. Except getting generationally stepped on by wolves made coyotes that much more adaptable. So while the big bad wolf was getting smoked, coyotes were out here Euro-stepping extinction. And when wolves got packed up in the US, for coyotes it was free real estate. So not only did we accidentally become coyote allies, the wolf dating pool got so low, eventually they started doing the unspeakable with the ops to survive, leading to the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. Remember, wolves hate coyotes more than anything. So just like that, coyotes managed to outcompete their biggest enemy and also colonize their bloodline. And with coyotes found in every state that isn't Hawaii, they basically humbled humanity too. And that's why I rock with them. They're alive out of spite, and I respect that.
Man. A merge between coyote and wolf, both ops joining together, man. All because of us. Crazy story in Animal Kingdom history.
Unexpected emergency alert systems in different countries. Firstly, if you don't know, countries have different emergency alert systems. The one I'm used to is America's that sounds like this.
Yup.
But on the other hand, we have the country of Barbados, which honestly sounds like club music. Next is Japan, which to me isn't that scary and just sounds like a notification. Now, one that I would genuinely be terrified by is Ireland's. Just imagine waking up to this. Finally, you know, I'm kind of glad that America's emergency alarm isn't too scary because Denmark is on another level.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body.
You guys know some freaking creepy facts? I think the one that got to me is that we have enough stomach acid to freaking burn, like I said, the razor blade, bro. And they were literally born in that freaking butthole, bro. I never knew that was the first thing that formed, man. So we was all, I guess, an asshole one time in our life. Edit. Like I said, man, if you guys see any edits, man, call them out as well, bro. We all need to help each other, man, this community.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Julie! Want a pie with a real bug? Yeah! Oh, lady, come like Papa! Yeah!
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, flyboy? Huh?
Right! She's a god!
Knowledge you wish you didn't know. Gandhi was racist and sexist. He kept a bunch of underage girls with him all the time. He would bathe with them, get full-body massages from them, and sleep naked with them in order to test himself. He also thought women were responsible for their own sexual assaults and was totally cool with fathers killing their own daughters after they had been sexually assaulted for family honor.
Condy Doc origins confirmed.
Lauren was shot 15 times, and 8 of those shots were fatal. Emergency personnel arrived at the scene as well as local neighbors so that they could assist. At that point, no one had told Lauren's parents that she had been shot. Lauren's mom, Bianca, was unaware of what was going on and was just doing what she normally did, waiting at home for Lauren to arrive. But then, one of her friends pulled up to her house asking if Lauren was home yet. Her mom was confused about this question and responded and said, "No, why?" And the friend, in a panic, said, "Kids are down," and then left. So her mom, Bianca, didn't hesitate or even let her dad, Vern, know what she was doing, and she just booked it out the front door to make sure that it wasn't her child that was, quote, down. Lauren's dad, Vern, could tell that something was wrong because Bianca wasn't the kind of person to just jump up, flee the house without saying anything or indicating what was wrong. So he knew something was up. So he immediately hopped in his truck and he followed her. There were tons of police cars, ambulances, people, and now crime scene tape blocking the area off. So Bianca was just looking around in a complete panic, trying to see if Lauren was there while simultaneously trying to assess the situation and come to terms with what was going on, and that is when she laid eyes on Lauren. In that moment, her worst fears realized and her worst nightmares come true, seeing her daughter on the ground appearing to have been shot.
Okay, this is getting creepy. Without finding out, more than doomsday fish washed up dead in San Diego just 2 days before California was rattled by that 4.6 magnitude earthquake. I mean, come on. Now for anyone that doesn't know, we've spoken about this before, but according to Japanese mythology, the oarfish, which is very rarely seen by humans, because they swim at depths of roughly 200 to 1,000 meters, well, is said to intentionally rise to the surface and beach themselves ahead of an impending earthquake, hence the name. And I made a video earlier this year when one was spotted before the Japan earthquake, and now again, for this one. So, now remember, there is no scientific evidence that has proven a correlation between them washing up and earthquakes. So as of right now, all we can say is just it's a freaky, freaky coincidence.
Scariest haunted.
You guys believe that, man? It's 2 out of 2 though. He did one early this year in the fish and that freaking earthquake happened, and another one happened as well. So he's 2 for 2 confirmed, man. It's starting to not seem like a coincidence anymore, Seekers.
Attractions in the World Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the 17th door. This attraction is so much different than the rest because actors are allowed to touch you. There's also a slight possibility that you'll get your hair cut here, which makes things like 100 times worse. Put you through various levels and rooms that just kind of keep getting worse. The room that you're seeing here actually turns and spins while you're in it. It's really trippy, especially if you don't know it's coming. You can watch a walkthrough of this place online. A lot of commenters were saying that this doesn't do the place justice. Basically, they were holding back a little for the people recording, supposedly. Oh yeah, and here's their lovely little barber shop. I wouldn't go here, but let me know if you would.
I'm never going to any of those freaking haunted houses, bro. They're too extreme for my
Beetlejuice
taste.
is not going to try to marry Jenna Ortega's character in the sequel. I feel like the trailers make it abundantly clear that he's trying to get back with Lydia again. First thing he does when he sees her is he grabs her and he says, "I'm gonna make you so happy." He even has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and then he says, "Now's my chance." The trailer kind of implies that Lydia's husband dies at the beginning of the movie, so maybe the movie is about Beetlejuice trying to be a father to Jenna Ortega's character. He puts down the newspaper and it says obituary, so he probably found out someone died and he thought, now is my time. Let me have another chance with Lydia. You can even see in the trailer that he's at the altar with Lydia. You can also see a wedding cake in the chapel, and you see that this is Lydia with the red dress from the first movie. Like, the first wedding outfit is on the wedding cake. And we even see her in a chapel in the red dress. Because I know that Jenna Ortega is wearing a white dress here, but if she was marrying Beetlejuice, it would be this white dress. Also, let's be honest, like, it's 2024. I think they realized that they kind of made him look like a creep in the old movie and that society doesn't like that anymore, or they're not okay with that. And they acknowledge that in the musical. There's a whole song about how Lydia's marrying a creepy old guy and she's an underage bride. Also, this is a fan-made photo. But I know they added this character, I think her name's Dolores, that's gonna be Beetlejuice's wife. I can't wait for this movie though. Let me know your thoughts and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
I never watched the first Beetlejuice, guys, so Tell me down below, man. Should I check that out? They sound like a keep trying to marry an underage girl. I don't think they're doing that in the second video.
What did Will Smith really mean to tell us?
Yo, we out here on vacation in the Bahamas. Another beautiful day. Check it out. Check it out. Boom. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. And you know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
Tell me,
The whole message is just freaking computer generated, man. That's really scary. It shows you how far technology has come, and you can literally just make anything, bro, on the internet. Location, your face, whole bodies. Oh, that's trippy.
do you believe was Disney trying to tell us something? Crazy, right? Some things are just an optical illusion, right? Well, is this an optical illusion? Look at that and tell me you don't know what that is. Go ahead and tell me that confidently and mean it. Because you know darn well what that is. You can see it. No, that's not a carving. That's a petrified animal from the days of old.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Do you see this?
Yep.
It's freaking nature! And it's freaking awesome!
Yes, it is. And I don't think science can properly explain how these animals were petrified so quickly to where they were able to preserve their form through all these years. And you know, that really got me thinking. There's plenty of statues on this earth that are thousands of years old. Now, what if they were petrified beings? Now, I know, it's just a thought. And yeah, I can't wait for the Mount Rushmore jokes. And you can joke all you want, but I promise you truth is stranger than fiction.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Need to clean our phones, bro.
Even
ASAP.
the actor that plays Art the Clown vomited from how gross Terrifier 3 is about to be. In fact, there were a lot of really big production companies that wanted to be involved in making Terrifier 3. The creator ended up turning it down because he didn't want to have less gore and tone down certain scenes. To stick it to these companies, he said, we're gonna make it even worse. He even said that they're gonna make the bedroom scene from the last movie look like a little kid thing. Like, that is how intense this movie is going to be. That is the level that we're about to be on. It's supposedly an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do anything to kids. Like when bad things happened to Georgie and it was like such a game changer, and so many people were like really upset that they would kid in a film. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of so many movies where they don't follow that rule. But they are not about to hold back. I don't understand how they can do like the bedroom scene and then be able to put that in the movie theater. The scene took 3 years to make, and it was so intense that people were either vomiting or walking out of the theater. But it was insane. It was so like an awakening. Terrifier the franchise is just known for upsetting the mainstream and pushing boundaries in horror, which I love. But one thing is certain, I absolutely cannot wait for this film.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, 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 what are you doing? What are you doing? And I got him back, and then he just stared at me and then goes, oh, I just wanted to get him out of your lap so you could get up and help me. which was weird. That didn't make any sense.
So it turns out that this mother lied about everything. She claimed this man tried to kidnap her 2-year-old son at Walmart. He was arrested and put in jail. So basically on March 18th, Mahendra Patel went to Walmart to get some Tylenol. He couldn't find the aisle, so he approached this woman named Caroline Miller and asked for help. But after their interaction, she called police and claimed that he tried to kidnap her 2-year-old son and then he fled. The surveillance footage shows zero proof of that, but yet 3 days later, police went to his house and arrested him. Mahendra was charged with attempted kidnapping, assault, battery, and was held without bond. When the surveillance footage was released to the public, everyone was really upset that this innocent man was put in jail for something he clearly didn't do. He was finally granted a $10,000 bond and was released after 49 days. This woman, I don't know what her intentions were or what the point of this really was, but she has not been charged at the moment, but I really hope that she has some serious consequences, because to try to ruin someone's life for absolutely no reason is crazy. Also, why wasn't the surveillance footage reviewed before arresting this man?
Preach. Literally, the footage was there in 4K. They didn't even check before they arrested him. And he still had to pay that mom, man. I'm suing her, bro. I need my money back. Plus interest, plus more on top of that, man. I'm innocent. I ain't do nothing wrong, man. She just was capping for a story. They do anything for clout, man.
A Million, Part 1. In 1984, Michael Jackson's hair caught fire during the filming of a Pepsi commercial, a moment that marked the beginning of his long struggle with pain and prescription drugs. Eerily, that day, January 27, 1984, was the exact midpoint of his life. 9,282 days after he was born and 9,282 days before he died. In 2013, a vet clinic in Ohio discovered a turtle with the word God naturally spelled out across its shell. In 1989, a Soviet jet fighter pilot mistakenly ejected just after takeoff from Poland. The aircraft continued flying for more than 500 miles on autopilot and ended up all the way in Belgium, only to crash into a house, killing an unlucky teenager. In 2012, a British man bought 5 amateur paintings for a mere $5 at a Las Vegas garage sale. When he decided to reframe one of them, he found a piece of paper behind it that turned out to contain an original sketch by Andy Warhol. His signature was also etched into the back, giving it a value of at least $2 million.
Damn.
On November 26, 2012, something happened for the first and only time in the history of New York City. For the entire day, there was not one single report of a violent crime. In 1957, a woman attending a Phillies game was hit with a foul ball that broke her nose. The game was briefly paused, then resumed once the woman was put on a stretcher. As they carried her away, the very next pitch was fouled off and hit the same woman, breaking a bone in her knee.
Yeah, she's just unlucky.
This is the most disturbing Japanese serial killer that you've never learned about. This is Tosomo Mayuzaki, and this is his real hand. If his name is hard to pronounce for you, don't worry about it. You can call him his nickname, the Human Dracula. Now, the reason you might not have heard about this case is because the details of this case are so disturbing that Japanese media tried to hide this.
Ooh.
From 1988 to 1989, he was convicted of abducting, murdering, and mutilating young girls from the ages of 4 to 7. The way he would do this is he would drive to a local park or maybe even a playground, and he would have a friendly conversation with these young girls so that way they'd be able to trust him. The second they were able to trust him, he would then lure them into his car by saying, "Hey, I'll give you a ride somewhere." Once the child would get in his car, he would then strangle them and then mutilate their bodies. As if this isn't the worst part, he would collect their hands as trophies, he would grind up their bones into a powder, put it inside of a package, and mail it to the victims' families. The reason he did this is he enjoyed taunting the victims' families by basically saying, "You're never gonna catch me." He would also drink their blood and even eat the hands. But boy was he wrong, because in 1989 he was literally caught in the act of trying to pick up a little girl. He was arrested and put on trial, and he never took accountability for what he did. He had no remorse, and he kept blaming it for his alter ego. He was eventually executed in 2008, and this is why your parents tell you to never trust strangers. There are so many disturbing cases in Japan, but Japan doesn't like people to know about them because they try and keep everything really discreet. They basically don't want the public to freak out about all of these cases, but if you want to know the real deal secrets behind Japan, make sure to hit the like and follow button, and I'll explain them some in the next video.
Have you guys seen this video that's gone viral of this woman getting sucked into the ocean while walking on the beach with her boyfriend? So this happened on June 16th in the city of Sochi in Russia when this 20-year-old woman was walking on the beach with her boyfriend when these huge waves began hitting them. At first, it didn't seem too serious and they probably didn't feel threatened, but after a while, the waves got bigger and stronger. This poor woman is then seen being swept into the ocean while her boyfriend was able to run out. He then tries to find her, but at this point, it seems like it's too late. What's crazy is that this was all caught on camera and it was reported that after 3 days, she still wasn't found. This is so tragic and sad, and it's a reminder that the ocean can be unpredictable and dangerous.
There's this psychological idea that you should probably know about because it applies to all humans that aren't aware of it, called the illusory truth effect. And it basically states that you can get the edge on somebody's entire belief system as long as you tell them something first. So if you go and tell somebody and go on about how bad a movie is, and then they go and hear somebody say like, oh, the movie's actually pretty good, they're just going to focus on the bad. Same if you go and tell somebody like, oh, this restaurant is really good, and then somebody else says that it's bad. They're just going to focus on the good because that's what they heard first. It's literally the idea that you will believe the first thing that you hear. Little extra fun fact, this is actually the entire idea behind conservatism and traditional values. I wish you luck with this new piece of information.
That's dangerous, man. Believing the first thing that somebody says. Especially today, man. You got to be able to form your own opinion. Use your own brain, man. Judge for yourself.
This is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. This is Mary Ann Bevan. The world labeled her as the ugliest woman in the world. But no one ever stopped to ask who she really was. She was just a mother, fighting to survive. Mary was once a nurse in England. She was a beautiful woman. But everything changed after her husband, Thomas Bevan, died in 1914. Soon after, she began to show signs of a rare condition called acromegaly, a disorder that caused her face and body to grow and distort painfully. People were staring at her all the time. Even the doctors weren't able to help. She had no money, she had no help, and she had to feed 4 of her children. Mary entered a contest, the Ugliest Woman in the World contest, and she won. Not out of pride, out of necessity. After that, she joined a circus to make some money. She stood on stage and she was laughed at. She was mocked, but she held it in. She endured it, all of it, because all the money she made went to her children. Mary endured cruelty for her children's future. Mary Ann Bevan was never ugly. She was brave, and her sacrifice was the most beautiful thing about her.
It really was. We still here, so that's wrong.
Iron Eyes Geeks present Light Out.
Here's what would happen if you got swallowed by a whale. The blue whale is the largest animal on the planet, with its tongue weighing as much as an elephant. However, you shouldn't be worried about a blue whale because it's almost impossible for them to swallow a human, but you should be worried about the sperm whale. The first thing that would happen is you would be shredded by its razor-sharp teeth, which are each as big as a kitchen knife. But let's say you're lucky enough to make it past all 50 of the whale's teeth. You'll now move down the whale's throat and find it hard to breathe due to a lack of oxygen. Then you would feel hydrochloric acid eat away at your skin. After this, you will drop into the first of 4 of the whale's stomachs, and you might even see a bioluminescent squid like this. But as you go from stomach to stomach to stomach, the hydrochloric acid will break down your skin, turning you into a skeleton.
Okay, stay away from sperm whales.
Here are some more amazing facts that you didn't know. A man in Texas named Regilio Andeverde was abducted from his home right in front of his wife by 2 masked men with guns. He returned 2 days later unharmed, but it was later discovered that he staged his own kidnapping, just so that he could go out and party with friends.
I never knew that fact.
This is why you should be scared of mirrors. Reddit user Liberated Man said that when he was about 12 years old, he woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. He walked across the hall to the bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when he glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't his face. He said that it was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at him. He only saw it for the briefest moment, but it seared into his brain. He screamed and ran out to find his dad. His dad, of course, investigated and then calmed him down, or tried to. They had a prayer session because he was so freaked out. Eventually, he went back to sleep. He said that fast forward to his 30s, he had forgotten all about the event, until one night, while visiting, his dad quietly brings it up. He said, "Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to him in a rush of a memory, sending a chill down his spine. He said, "Yeah, I remember." And then his dad said, "Well, sometimes I think about that night." He looked down at the floor with a serious expression, and then he said, "I saw it too." He went on to describe exactly what Reddit user Liberated Man had seen. Neither of them have any idea what it was. Apparently, when his dad went to investigate, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. And the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as it was his son's.
So it's for both of them, man. I don't know what they saw.
These are some of the creepiest real clowns throughout history. Number 1 is Bozo the Clown. It's commonly thought that Bozo is considered kind of the prototype of most 20th century clowns. Hugely popular with audiences throughout the 60s, but eventually walked this line where younger audiences couldn't decide, is he funny or is he disturbing? Number 2 is John Wayne Gacy. Gacy is infamously known for the horrific nature of his crimes, where he accumulated more than 20 victims. But the clown character he would do, I think, is the eerie component to this story and why people remember it, because behind all of this makeup and these costumes, he was doing unspeakable things. Number 3 is Wrinkles the Clown. If you don't know the story behind Wrinkles, he is an unknown man from Florida who you can call anytime, anywhere, and he will come, dressed as Wrinkles, and terrify whoever you want. The creepiest part about him is that he will go as far as to hide within a home to scare people.
Okay, stay away from Wrinkles the Clown, man. We don't do clowns over here.
So somebody insults you. They're trying to get under your skin. Here are 3 hacks that are not only going to make them look stupid, but feel it too. If somebody is going out of their way to insult you, don't insult them back. Don't dignify them with the response. Instead, try the stare down method, where you just look at them with no emotion, maybe a little bit of confusion, but this shows that you don't give a fuck. 9 times out of 10, this is going to throw somebody off enough to stop, but if they don't, misinterpreting an insult can go one or two ways, okay? 1, you take it as a compliment, which is really going to confuse a person. Or 2, you act confused. Really get them to explain what they're trying to say to the point that doesn't even make sense when they're saying it anymore. And if all else fails, just agree with them. And I can already hear you being like, "Bella, why would I agree with somebody that's insulting me? That is stupid." Okay, I get it, but listen, you're going to agree and exaggerate because it makes people uncomfortable. If somebody's like, "Oh my God, do you never shut up?" Be like, "Actually, no, I don't. My parents used to duct tape my mouth as a child just to get me to stop talking."
So you put the reverse Uno card on them. Okay.
Oh no. No, 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 silly. To dry it. No, no, no. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
The past 24 hours, this dark web website has gone absolutely insane. As you can see, I'm on the dark web, and we are on what's called the Hidden Wiki. They have everything from financial services to, privacy services, emails, hacking. But today I found something that is absolutely worth sharing. USA citizenship, and if we click the link, you can become a US citizen for like $1,500. Become a citizen of the USA, real USA passport. We offer bulletproof USA passports, social security numbers, driver's license, and birth certificate, and other papers making you an official citizen of the USA. It asks, how do we do it? And it says trade secret, but we can assure you that you won't have any problems getting our papers. It even goes as far as saying you can use your own name or a new name, and information on how to send us your required information. Scan, signature, biometric picture, and etc. will be given after purchase. Now the total price you can see is $4,000, but it looks like your first payment is only $1,500. I was born in the US. However, I'm a little bit tempted to buy it and see exactly how these people do it. Now this is a big goal, but 300,000 likes and I'll do it. That's final. And if I go to jail, somebody to bail me out. Make sure to like and follow.
I had a nightmare about King Kong last night, so I'm going to make that everyone else's problem. This is an animatronic. The video at the end is terrifying, by the way. You can skip and watch it if you want. This video is going to contain a bunch of different King Kong animatronics, but this is the absolute worst one. It is on the Universal Studios ride Kong Island. Kong Skull Island, wow. And like you go on this little tram and bro looks at you through it and he looks really mad. He looks like you just hit on his girl. He looks mad. This is kind of a duplicate of it and look how big it is in comparison to bro. Also, here's another King Kong animatronic used for the movie back in the day, and all of these animatronic parts, sickening. Like, look how tiny that guy is in comparison to this thing. I could never go anywhere near a giant King Kong animatronic. I would cry.
Really?
Like, I have megalophobia so bad, I can barely look at buildings. And I had a reoccurring nightmare when I was little of white gorillas chasing me, probably because I watched the movie Congo when I was 4. And this King Kong animatronic that was made for Madame Tussauds in London and New York. And here's the making of it, if you wanted to be even more traumatized. Here's them putting it together, ugh. And its lip twitches and stuff. It's so creepy. Here's it without its little nose, looking like Voldemort. Its teeth, for whatever reason, they didn't have to make it so hyper-realistic, did they? Like, look how small they are in comparison to this giant, I can't. Like, I showed this picture at the beginning, but like, imagine you're cleaning up and you work in this area of Madame Tussauds and you have to clean it at night and it's just there in the dark. I would cry! Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. Would you be able to go on this ride? Are you also megalophobic like me? Let me know. Megalophobia is a fear of giant objects, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Check it out. I'm good so far. That's too real though.
Her mom performed an exorcism on her because she believed that she was possessed. 3-year-old Aurelie Proctor lived with her 25-year-old mom, Claudia Hernandez, in San Jose, California. Claudia believed that Aurelie was possessed because she would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying. Aurelie wouldn't stop, so this made Claudia believe that she was possessed somehow. On September 24th of 2021, around 6:30 a.m., Claudia and her brother drove Aurelie to a nearby church to help with her alleged possession. Claudia grabs Aurelie by the neck and the waist, trying to get her to throw up this evil spirit. Claudia's dad was the pastor of that church, and he ends up showing up to help them out. Claudia then puts her fingers down Aurelie's throat, and she ends up throwing up a clear/purple liquid. All of this went on for 12 hours, and just the day before, Aurelie was only given 6 ounces of water. Aurelie ended up passing away between 6 to 6:30 p.m. Once it was after 8 p.m., Claudia called 911 to report that her daughter had passed away. Once first responders arrived, they noticed that Aurelie had bruising around her eye, neck, and chest. At the time, no one was arrested because there wasn't enough evidence. A few days later, Claudia set up a GoFundMe to raise money for her daughter's burial. On January 27th of 2022, Claudia uploaded a YouTube video addressing the whole situation. She was not remorseful and basically said it is what it is. On January 31st, law enforcement were finally able to arrest and book Claudia into the Santa Clara County Jail because of that YouTube video, and on May 13th, her father and brother were arrested as well.
Okay, man. People self-incriminating themselves. Pitch black middle of the night.
I still can't get over the fact that this woman was released from prison after she drugged her little sister, gave her to her husband so he can essay her and take her life. Paul Bernardo and Carla Hamalka were called the Barbie and Ken killers and committed one of the most horrific crimes together. They tortured, essayed, and took the lives of these 3 innocent young teens in the early 90s. 15-year-old Kristen French was one of their victims. She was abducted in a church parking lot while Carla pretended to ask her for directions. Paul forced her into their car. In another case, 14-year-old Leslie Mahaffey was abducted while she waited outside of her house. This was Carla's younger sister, Tammy, and one day Paul told Carla that he wanted her, so she drugged her sister and gave her to Paul to do whatever he wants with her. The girls were tortured for days and disgusting things were done to them while they videotaped everything. Together, they dismembered their bodies and then threw them in the lake. Now, while Paul got life in prison, then Carla was able to walk free after 12 years. But not only that, after her release, she changed her name and she was caught working at a private elementary school in Montreal. Her job was to supervise kindergarten students, and when their parents found out, they were pissed off. And I don't blame them, because I wouldn't want this person looking after my children either. This was one of the biggest cases in the world, especially in Canada, because of how disturbing their crimes were. People are still confused on how—
You are going to hate this woman by the end of this video. This is Georgia Tan, and she is the most notorious child kidnapper in American history. She was responsible for trafficking over 5,000 children, and hardly anyone knows who she was. I just did a 2-part series on her for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, and to show you how horrible she was, let me tell you a story. One night in Memphis in the 1940s, a woman gave birth. She was given a lot of anesthetic, so she was pretty out of it. But when she comes to, she sees that there's a woman standing in her room, and that woman is Georgia Tan. And she tells this woman that she's a social worker, and she's running this new program for new single mothers who need help, saying that she'll take the baby for a couple of days while the new mom gets back on her feet. And the new mom that hears this is thrilled, because she needs as much help as she can get. So Georgia takes the baby, has the mom just sign some paperwork saying it's all okay, and then Georgia and the child are never seen again. And this was a huge part of her trafficking scheme, because the paperwork they were signing was actually drafted by her father, who was a judge. And it rescinded all of their parental rights, but the moms didn't know that's what they were signing because they were still so out of it from the anesthetic. The children would then be put up for sale, and because these mothers were single and poor, oftentimes no one wanted to help them. I know it sounds like it's straight out of a horror movie, but a lot of people were affected by this. I mean, even Ric Flair was one of the trafficked children. There is a lot more to this story, and we go over all of it in the 2-part series that we just did for the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
One in a Million, Part 2. Venus the cat became internet famous for having a face split perfectly down the middle. One side black with a green eye, the other side orange with a blue eye. She's a natural-born chimera, meaning her body contains the DNA of 2 separate embryos fused into one. In 2015, Massachusetts man Richard Knoll needed to break a $100 bill. So he went to a local convenience store and bought a couple of scratch-off tickets for the first time in his life just to get the change. It turned out to be one of the best off-the-cuff decisions of his life, since one of the tickets was the $10 million jackpot winner. In 2013, ABC News reporter Amy Roback had a mammogram taken live on TV to promote breast cancer awareness. It just so happened that she actually did have cancer, and the procedure likely saved her life. In 2013, a 39-year-old Brazilian woman named Adriana wanted to find her mother who abandoned her when she was a baby. So she went on a TV show and ended up finding her mom through the power of the internet. The two had an emotional reunion, but her mother revealed that she had also abandoned Adriana's infant brother, Leandro. In a shocking twist, Adriana's husband, whom she had a daughter with, turned out to be her biological brother, Leandro. But despite the pair being siblings, they vowed to never separate.
Annabelle the doll is currently on tour, and buildings keep burning down around her. So if you don't know, Annabelle the doll is currently being toured around the United States on this Devils on the Run tour. The New England Society for Psychic Research is bringing her to all of these haunted locations around the country so that people can get the chance to see her in real life. But people have noticed that wherever she goes, disaster strikes. For instance, the day after she left New Orleans, the largest antebellum South plantation, which is located in Louisiana, burned down with no hope of recovery. It's called the Nottoway Plantation, and it's just a horrible place. It was built in 1859 by enslaved people and held up to 150 enslaved people at a time. Also, a lot of the enslaved people that died while working the plantation were buried on the property. But recently, people noticed that it's been completely whitewashed. If you go on the website, there's nothing there that talks about the dark history of the place, and it's currently being used as a wedding venue. That is until Annabelle was there the other day and the whole thing burned down. Now, people have a bunch of different theories as to why this happened. I know the plantation itself has come forward and said that it was an electrical issue that caused the fire, but people have also mentioned that other historical buildings in New Orleans have caught fire after Annabelle left. So is it Annabelle or is it something else? She's not done on her tour. She has at least one more spot. She's going to Gettysburg, this orphanage, in July, so I guess we'll see if weird things keep happening around her.
Here's 5 things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever. This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
Dang, man. Some of those facts, bro, were instilled into me as a kid, especially about the TV and the gum fact. Never used to, well, I don't swallow gum, but, you know, staying close to the TV, everybody saying, yeah, we can go blind like that. Or just start losing vision.
Won't believe what happened to this man when his wife almost caught him cheating. 23-year-old Kevin Nascimento, also known as MC Kevin, was a Brazilian famous singer who got married in 2021 to Thiolane Bezerra. But only 2 weeks after their wedding, Kevin and his friend made arrangements for them to meet this model named Bianca Dominguez in a hotel room. Apparently, Kevin was staying in room 1302 with his wife, but later made his way to room 502 to meet Bianca. And I'm sure you know what went down in that hotel room. So while this was going on, Kevin suddenly realized that his wife was looking for him. And in a panic, Kevin ran out onto the balcony and tried to climb his way into the balcony below him to hide from his wife. Unfortunately, Kevin slipped and fell 5 stories. He was found by staff and was rushed to the hospital, but on his way there, he passed away.
Don't cheat. It's not worth it. Yeah, in the middle of the night.
I've never really been the one to believe in orbs, but someone explained this to me. Gabby Petito's family went to the location in Wyoming where her life was taken, and they all took a photo, and there was this thing that came up in the photo. Her family's convinced that that's her presence, and a lot of people also think the same thing. But I've never seen an orb that big. Others have had a different explanation for this, saying that it's the reflection of the sun with the lens, and that's why it created this thing. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
What is the most disturbing boss fight from a non-horror game? This is my series where we talk about the creepiest bosses from games that were never meant to scare you. And today's entry is likely more disturbing than any of the ones we've covered so far. Today we're going to be talking about the final boss of Earthbound, Gygus. So obviously this thing is visually shocking and has creepy music to boot. But what exactly is Gygus? In the world of Earthbound, Gygus is an alien responsible for destroying the Earth as we know it. He becomes so unbelievably powerful that he has the capabilities of destroying the entire universe, and both his physical body and mind are completely destroyed in the process. Now, you battle him in the past before the Earth is destroyed, and just like Azathoth from the Lovecraft mythos, he's basically referred to as an idiot god. But really, it's the boss's inspiration that makes him so disturbing. In an interview, Etoy, the director of Earthbound, provided some details as to how Gygus was created. The idea came from a very traumatic experience in his childhood. As a kid in a movie theater, he accidentally walked into an adult film, and he described seeing this at a young age as a direct attack on his brain. That idea of lust and violence together inspired Gygus. The interview itself is really cool, and I encourage you to check it out because it goes into a lot more details than I can provide here.
This woman cooked herself alive. There was a woman who was always made fun of for being pale, so she decided to go to a tanning salon near her house. She tried to make an appointment for an hour, but the staff said for her own safety she could only tan for about 30 minutes. After the session, she looked in the mirror and realized her skin wasn't any darker. The next day, the woman attempted to make another 30-minute appointment, and the staff said she could only tan 2 times a week. After the second session finished, the woman again noticed her skin wasn't any darker and she wasn't satisfied. She then came up with a plan. Since she could only go there 2 times a week, she decided to make an appointment every day at different tanning salons. She then spent the next 4 days going from one tanning salon to another. But her skin still wasn't as dark as she wanted it, so she went and got the strongest tanning lotion she could find, and then covered her body in it and got into the tanning booth. The salon staff then smelled something burning in the air and discovered that the woman's tanning bed was on fire. The woman's black burnt corpse laid there dead. When the autopsy came back, it said, by combining tanning lotion and a tanning bed, the woman literally cooked herself alive.
Facts about your dog that you didn't know.
Insane.
Whenever your dog puts their paw on you like this, it's their way of showing that they love you and it's their way of petting you. Your dog actually knows your routine. If you have a pretty normal routine, your dog can tell when you're coming home based off of the amount of your scent left in the house. Even though your dog may look guilty, dogs cannot feel guilt. But on the flip side, dogs can feel jealousy. Anytime you're giving attention to another dog, treats, petting, your dog can feel jealous. When your dog is scooting his butt across the floor like this, he's not just trying to make you laugh. This is almost a sure sign of plugged or infected anal glands, which can collect fluid and can actually be drained manually, or they might be given something for it. Your dog is staring at you while they poop because they trust you and think you'll look out for them while they're vulnerable, while they're doing their business.
Wow. Those dog facts, man. I never knew why the dogs scooch their butts like that.
What is the most disturbing boss fight from a non-horror game? This is my series where we talk about the scariest things from games that were never meant to scare you. And today's entry comes from Echo the Dolphin? What in the Frutiger Arrow is this? Yes, the colorful, happy, underwater dolphin game for the Sega Genesis has a terrifying boss within it. Because if you manage to get to the end of the game, you see the Vortex Queen.
Oh, what the?
No, but actually, what are we even doing here? This is a kid's game. It's a pitch black arena and you just stumble into it. Just for a second, imagine playing this as a kid and just running into this thing. I would honestly not be surprised if this segment alone gave gamers thalassophobia for life. Now here's a fun fact about the boss. One of its attacks is that it can swallow you up and eat you. But if that happens in the Japanese version, you play a secret stage called the Stomach to get back out and fight the boss again. Nothing else in the game though looks even remotely as scary as the Vortex Queen, so this thing is just a jump scare.
3 scary movies that were based on real stories, and the third one is absolutely insane. Scream just made yet another resurgence of the franchise as kind of the campy classic in the horror genre. But this whole franchise actually has some truth behind the original concept, as it was inspired by the Gainesville Ripper of Florida, who took the lives of 5 students seemingly for no motive other than just to gamify the killings. He even posed the bodies so that when others found them, it was horrifying. Child's Play is a movie that I would have never imagined to have had some truth behind it. But the original concept that inspired the script was actually based on Robert the Doll, which was gifted to a child in the early 1900s by a woman who practiced voodoo. People claimed this doll could walk and talk on its own. Open water is a nightmare concept of a couple that gets left behind on a boating tour in shark-infested waters. But this exact scenario did happen to a real-life couple who were also left in shark-infested waters.
Wow. Pieces of media based on
Creepy
true
facts
stories.
that will disturb you. Emperor Nero profited off of human urine. He imposed a urine tax, charging merchants who sold pee. This is because human urine was a valuable and useful product back in ancient Rome. During mummification, ancient Egyptians removed the brain through one of the nostrils. This scary process is called exorabration. Ancient Egyptians were known to insert an iron hook through the body's nostril to draw out parts of the brain that they would then place in a jar. Figging is a practice wherein ginger root is inserted into the anus or vagina. In ancient Greece, slave owners used figging to discipline female slaves. They would skin a ginger root into a phallic shape, and the insertion causes an intense burning sensation and discomfort. The practice is mortifying, especially when it could last for an extended period of time.
Never knew that. Ancient Rome was crazy back then.
This is what the animatronic from Adventures of Pinocchio, the Pinocchio, now looks like. If that isn't terrifying, I don't know what is. The video at the end is the reason that I'm scared of whales and have been since 1996. This video, I'm going to be completely unmasking my autism and talking about my absolute hyperfixation with Pinocchio. Like, I have this. It is the gaudiest necklace of all time. But I have carried around this little guy ever since I was 6 years old, and he is my favorite Pinocchio, okay? And here's a picture of me when I was 6 years old, hanging around with him. I have the Carlo Collodi novel right here of the original Pinocchio. I'm currently in the middle of playing the Lies of P DLC Overture, which takes place at an abandoned zoo. It is terrifying, but I love it. This is what the Monstro from Adventures of Pinocchio, 1996, looks like, and that thing is terrifying. But like when people say like, oh, you're faking your reactions and you're actually obsessed with these things and you're not actually scared. No, I love scaring myself. Horror movies are my favorite genre ever. So I love watching things that scare me. I love like looking at abandoned places and things like that, even though it absolutely gutturally terrifies me. So Pinocchio terrifies me, but I love it. And yeah, that's what the animatronic now looks like.
And here's what the inside of it looks like. I hate this. Also, if you like Pinocchio, you will absolutely love the movie AI Artificial Intelligence. This is in my top 10 movies of all time. It is like a robot Pinocchio, and it is a freaking masterpiece. Amazing movie. So watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And can you understand why I'm scared of whales now? Because this is what traumatized me.
Pinocchio got cooked in that movie. Was that? Yeah, that was like the movie, bro. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.